Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garoppolo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. Welcome in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, John Luke Garoppolo and Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, boys?
Yeah.
Just I could hardly sleep after how exciting that football game was last night. I was up all night just thinking about, how close they were to score a touchdown. Yeah.
You know what the worst part is about games like that? Like, whenever it's a very exciting game and, like, I get up and I go to my kitchen to grab some water or something, I don't even think about it. Know what I mean? I go grab water. If I hear something, I run to the other room. When the game is this bad, I have such fear of missing the one exciting play that I don't even want to leave unless it's a commercial break. Like the game traps you more than even an exciting game does, because you're like, what if they throw the one touchdown of this game while I'm gone?
Welcome to the hockey watching experience, dude. That's hockey 100%.
Waiting to pee.
It's
like a hockey experience, like a shared hockey experience.
Or
just
soccer
holding
too.
in your pee.
Yeah, or just be like, I'm gonna miss the one goal. This is my hockey watching experience. Ready? Like, I'll be watching and I'll be like, oh, when are they gonna score? Right? And then I'll go to get a beer and I'll come back, room full of people, and then there'll be a goal on the TV and I'll go crazy, and then everyone will look at me and I'll look back and I'll realize that it was a goal during a commercial, and they're wearing the yellow jerseys today, but on the commercial they're wearing the black one, so it's not even one that people should get excited about. And then I'll be like, oh damn, and then I'll look away for 2 seconds, and then they'll score, and everybody else will go crazy. That's what watching hockey is like for me. I don't know about you guys.
I don't watch hockey.
I every year say I'm gonna watch hockey because I'll watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then I don't watch hockey. Coop, I lie to myself every year.
But how awesome is playoff hockey? That's the thing.
So much
playoff
fun.
Hockey is just a different brand of hockey that makes you think you like hockey, but you just like excitement.
Is that what's happening to me? Because every year it happens. It's every year I'm like, oh my god, this is the best sport. Why isn't everyone watching this all the time? And then regular season hits, and I try watching one game, and I lose interest immediately.
Yeah. Well, that's even bad football like last night is better than bad hockey, and even bad football is better than good baseball, honestly.
So football's like pizza.
That's where I thought you were gonna go.
Yeah. Even bad pizza is good, even bad football is good, but hockey's more like hollandaise sauce. Like a bad hollandaise sauce is disgusting, but a good hollandaise sauce, if you're patient, you wait for the restaurant to make it up right, it's delicious. Yeah. It's so good.
And for real though, I don't know. I play fantasy hockey. I'll be the hockey expert on this show. You know what I mean? Go out, draft Ovechkin, I believe his name is.
Oh,
wow.
Deep cut there.
Bit of a sleeper this year, perhaps.
It's probably the one hockey player I could name.
You can name another. I would bet my life that you could name one more hockey player.
Simon, please do not bet your life. Please do not do that. Do not put that on me. I honestly just tried to do it, and I couldn't think of a
I'm doing it.
one.
I am betting my life that you can name another hockey player. I just did it, Jail. If you can't name one right now and I die today,
I need you.
It's going to be on you.
What about
come on, think of the all-time great. Don't say any more.
Jaromir Jaeger bombs.
I love Jaromir Jaeger bombs. My uncle has that same name. My Dutch uncle goes by Jaromir Jaeger bombs. I didn't know he was in Jaeger bombs.
Clap bombs.
Jail, can you do it? Am I alive?
Who's the guy that's married to Carrie Underwood?
Tony Romo.
Steve.
I think it's Ovechkin. Shoot.
Oh, not again. This guy that's married to Putin.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm dead.
Married to a hockey
I can't believe I'm dead. You can't even name a single other hockey player.
Dude, I can't.
Yes, you can.
Wayne Gretzky.
I thought that was the same guy as Ovechkin.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, you thought it was just a different name. Sidney Crosby.
That means nothing to me.
Okay, those are the only.
Sidney Crosby means nothing to you? Okay, you are truly lost. You're gonna have to be the basketball guy.
Guys.
Yeah,
not a hockey guy.
You're gonna be. You want to be the basketball guy or the NASCAR guy?
Neither. I can't name a NASCAR guy either.
Get out of here, dude.
Apart from what's his name?
Jeb Bush.
Jeff Dale Griffey Jr.
Jeff Dale Griffey Jr.
Man. He's the one in the Tide car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so fast. His car's actually Flintstones powered, but it's incredible that he's able to even keep up with these guys. Aside from Flintstones covered cars, we have some news to go over. After last night's loss, Bronco Wilson. I just said Bronco.
Bronco. Let's go, dude. Good morning.
I just like the realization of
Wilson says he let
dude, that's actually kind of a dope name though, dude.
Bronco Wilson.
That's going on my list for names for my kids. Bronco
with a
not even Bronco. Bronco Cooper.
Bronco.
Kind of a dope.
Bronco. Well, Bronco Wilson.
Like, oh, how'd you come up with that name? And you'll be like, yeah, there was a stupid joke on our morning show.
Simon was sleep deprived and combined Bronco and Russell Wilson into one really weird word.
The other option is Jeff Dale. Your pick.
Jeff Dale Jr.
That's what I'm naming my. Whichever one you don't pick, Coop, I'll take the scraps for my kid.
Yeah.
Jeff Dale Griffey Jr. Grunewald.
It's all
Jeff Dale Griffey Jr. Grunewald.
Hogs up, dude. Kind of got a nice ring to it, dude.
Kind of, yes.
Bronco Hog Cooper.
Now, all I need to do is from this point until the day I have a child, I have to try to make a really lopsided bet that my girlfriend will accept where I get to name the first child. Like it has to be like, she's going to turn down 99% of them, but it's got to be like one. I got to find that edge somewhere. And otherwise, Jeff Dale Griffey Jr. is not happening.
Gotta have Jeff Dale. Hey, folks in the chat. Folks in the chat, what would a dude named Bronco Hog Cooper? What would that dude's occupation be? What would that dude do for work? I'd love to know.
Bronco Hog Cooper.
Bronco Hog Cooper.
I don't think he's playing
accountant
football.
At law.
He's probably a strip club DJ, dude.
Strip club DJ. And not at like a nice strip. Like he's not DJing at Magic City where it's like a legit hip hop club. Yeah, Jail. He's got the Wednesday afternoon lunch buffet crew at like a weird strip club in rural Minnesota is like where we got this guy DJ.
Scott Fish is in the corner.
There you go. Donovan Miller, bouncer at a nightclub.
Bronco Hog
Cooper.
Ooh, Craig said, plug that name into the new AI bot we can use to see what he would look like. Yeah, someone with access to DALL-E 2 or whatever the hell that thing is called. Let us know. We can just plug that name in. Have you guys seen that?
No.
It's this like AI art bot. Look up DALL-E 2 on TikTok. This one's like blown up recently. It's in beta, so you have to like get granted access. There's a wait list that people are waiting on for like over a year. But it is unbelievable what they do. They'll type in Jeb Bush riding a lawnmower into a shopping mall while eating ice cream with Noam Chomsky, and then all of a sudden, like this thing will generate 6 different versions of that image for you,
dude.
Like so in different art styles.
I have access to one of those. If you guys want to do some of those, I'm in the Discord for Midjourney, which is a very similar one. It does the same thing.
Oh, that's sick.
Looking at the ones in there, it cracks me up. So
let's get Bronco Hog Wilson in there and see what it does. Bronco Hog Wilson. Well, what I was saying is Bronco Hog Cooper. What I was saying is Bronco Wilson says he let the team down in overtime loss. Direct quote. It's very simple. At the end of the day, I've got to be better. I've got to play better, Wilson said. The defense played their butts off tonight. We had some key good drives. At the end of the day, throwing 2 interceptions can't happen. Can't happen. I let the team down tonight. Let's ride.
Did he say let's ride at the end?
No.
Did he really say that?
No, he did not.
That's a funny way if he signed off like that.
Always. He's like contractually obligated to end every like press conference with a let's ride.
Did you guys see when he came out of the injury tent and like he came out of the injury tent after that interception and he's walking down the bench and he like claps and says like let's ride, and everyone on the bench just had this look on their face like, gosh,
I think I saw that exact moment,
dude. Like
it was like right when he came out of the medical tent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember, I remember watching that, being like, oh no, they're sick of him.
Yeah.
Like Russ being goofy and corny is probably like quirky when they're winning. Know what I mean? Like when they're winning, it's probably like, oh, that's just quirky Russ. But when they're losing, it's probably like, I swear to God, if you say let's ride one more time, Russell Wilson,
we are riding.
If you practice high fives one more time, I'm like it's just all the stuff that's goofy is gonna just turn annoying real fast.
He's 100% an energy vampire, right? He's like, let's ride, and then we're just like, yeah.
Dude, I feel like I said it on Twitter yesterday, but Russell Wilson's got the yips, right? No, you're not supposed to say it, but
could be, dude.
Dude, that's what it looks like. It looks like he is just uncomfortable on the field. It looks like he is in his head. There's multiple throws last night where it was just to no one, and you just like they would pan to him, and he's just like looking confused. I feel like this is like a mental thing.
I think there's some of that to it. Also, like we saw like multiple times last night where it was clear Russell Wilson and the wide receivers were just not on the same page, right? Like it wasn't a bad throw in the sense that like he missed his target. He was just throwing somewhere where the wide receiver wasn't. Like he was just throwing the ball and the wide receiver cut a different direction. He saw a different coverage than the wide receiver. Courtland Sutton goes one way, Russell Wilson throws the other, and it happened like 3 or 4 times throughout the night. So like I don't think it's just a Russell Wilson problem. I think we're seeing is like Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford made us think it is really easy to plug a top tier quarterback into a new offense and just have them ride, right? Like, but this, it's difficult. This is a new playbook that they're learning. These are new receivers, new players. And they mentioned like on the broadcast multiple times yesterday, Russell Wilson is not an easy quarterback for an offense to learn how to play with. He's famous around the league for making people jump off sides. Like his offensive line is struggling to play with him. They're leading the league in false starts. Like, I think this is it's difficult to learn to play with Russell Wilson, and it's difficult for Russell Wilson to learn this new system. I hope he gets it together, but it does not look good. Jalen, there's more than that too, probably. There's probably some cases, something mental, some yips, something in his head causing him.
No, I think you're right. And this is something that we're talking about, I brought up over the offseason is like a lot of times people just assume that okay, this player is doing well in this situation. Let's just plug them in here. It's going to work. Or they assume the other way and assume it's not going to work, like with Stephon Diggs. And I feel like a lot of time it's wrong, right? Allen Robinson is another one, multiple years now, where we thought the same thing. So you got to be concerned about that.
I mean, just look at the QBs on new teams this year, right? We saw 2 of them last night. It wasn't just Russell Wilson struggling. Matt Ryan on a team didn't look too great. Not that Baker Mayfield's a world beater, but we're seeing him really struggle on a new team. Mitch Trubisky already got benched on his new team. Like, it is difficult for these quarterbacks to come in and learn a new system.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Except unless you're Tom Brady or apparently Matthew Stafford.
It's funny how that happens, though. It's like, Kenny Golladay goes to a new team, terrible. But Randy Moss goes to play with Tom Brady, awesome. So, I don't know. Maybe everyone should just go out and get a Tom Brady if they could.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
What are you idiots? What are you doing? We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Craig said, watching that game last night was less fun than being on Team Oven Mitt. Team Oven Mitt is the place to be.
Team Oven Mitt
is the place to be. Squirrel Bob in here saying, dude, I turned it off. And we got Tommy in here. What's up, Tommy? Letting us know about those Broncos, saying those Broncos look like a hell of a team. Yikes. And then also Craig came in here and said, let's hide. Let's ride off into the sunset. Let's ride this team into the ground. We got a couple of those over there.
Let's ride this team into the ground.
And Tommy, Coop, how do you like them tomatoes? Yeah, me and Tommy have a tomato bet on the Broncos versus the Raiders. But that being said, the Raiders they only have
delicious cereal.
Raiders not doing that good either, Tommy.
I was about to try to make Broncos end in the letter OS, but I realized it already does. Raiders and Broncos.
Raiders and the Broncos.
Oh, the Broncos one is so silly. The Raiders and the Broncos. Yesterday, KJ Hamler said, I could have walked into the end zone if the final pass had been thrown to me. On the final play of Thursday night's loss to the Colts, Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson threw an incomplete pass. Wilson never appeared to look to his right, where wide receiver KJ Hamler was wide open for a game-winning touchdown. I could have walked in, Hamler told James Palmer of NFL Network. And Russell Wilson, when asked about this play, was quoted as saying, let's ride.
Let's ride. That's all he's able to say. Russell Wilson's just like that senator from Parks and Rec. He's like the robot. He's just got like three phrases.
That's like I love for some reason that makes me think I had a Halloween like trick-or-treating bag with like a button on it when I was a kid growing up, and it just knew 3 phrases and they're like forever burned into my mind in the voice of this thing, just like over and over again, like trick or treat, like just like a witch's voice, just like screaming that in my head. Because as a kid, you just push a button over and over and over again. Also, Craig said that really assumes a lot on the pass on being on target for the pass to KJ Hamler. What do you guys think about that? Do you think as fans we're oversimplifying what was happening in that final play? Do you think KJ Hamler, like we don't I think it was Kurt Warner last night put out a tweet. He was like, I'm sick of all these people screenshotting a play and putting an arrow on it. Like, you don't know the reads, you don't know the coverage. So I saw that tweet. Is this one of those cases or is this something different?
No, it's 100. That really is the case. Like, it's not like backyard football where you just drop back and everyone's running around and you're just scanning around the field. Like, there's a progression of who you look at in what order, because there's windows for each player on most plays. Some, a lot of them are drawn up differently, but a lot of times you're not even looking to the left yet, because you have the early look, intermediate look, and then your late play guy. So like one dude's running a slant, he's your first look. And then you have a guy running a deep curl, he's your second look. If you look to the guy on the left first, then you miss the window for the slant completely. It's not even part of the play, right? And if you were looking to the left the whole time, you're just watching this guy telling the defense where you're looking. And then by the time he actually gets to the curl, everyone knows you're going there. So it's like you have to go through the progressions. Sometimes you're going to miss people that are open, but that dude might not even be expecting the ball at that point. So I fully am on board with that take, especially if a guy like Kurt Warner is reading the play that way. He's probably right.
Now he tweeted that. Probably wrong. He tweeted that way earlier in the game, not during overtime. That was in like that was in like the middle of the first half that he tweeted that. But it was because there were similar plays throughout the game, right? Where we would see a guy wide open, Russ throws somewhere else into coverage. But same thing. Jail, what do you think about this?
I agree with Coop, and it's so much more difficult to see all that stuff in real time, right? Like, it's so easy to see it on a replay, of course. You can get to slow it down. You get to look all over the place without any sort of threat. Even just like anybody who's played Madden knows this, that like you can't see it all, right? Like you can't see everything that's happening. So you miss stuff while like it's happening real time. So yeah, he's absolutely right. Playing quarterback is much different than sitting on your ass and watching someone play quarterback.
And Russell, it might've been in his head at that point. Did you guys see it as overtime hit? Just the volume of fans just leaving the stadium. Like, they showed like clips of people just heading out. Can you imagine being the Broncos? It's Thursday night football, prime time. You're headed to overtime and half your fans are leaving. They said, nah, we're out. Like, we're done with it.
I just thought about that. Like, if you were one of those fans too, like you pretend to be a diehard fan, but then like your friends are watching the game and they just see you like sliding down the banister, like, oh,
yeah,
I'm out. I got work in the morning.
Gonna beat the parking.
Right.
Just absolutely brutal. Keith in the chat pointing out, luckily, we have a great Thursday night football matchup next week with Commanders versus Bears. So we get the Commanders versus Bears.
They showed that up on the screen. It was like Carson Wentz and Justin Fields, and I was like, yeah, y'all shouldn't have made this graphic.
Right.
Like, this does not make me want to watch anything.
I'm trying to think, like, who is like the cool guy on the Bears right now? Not really a lot of options.
No one.
Equinemius St. Brown.
Probably.
Cool. I think he's the cool guy on the Bears. Yesterday we got an update from Tom Brady. There were concerns about his shoulder. He said his shoulder feels great and he will play Sunday. So he suffered that shoulder injury on a strip sack. So he suffered that shoulder injury on a strip sack three times fast.
Yeah.
Suffering that shoulder on a shift pack.
Suffering succotash.
On a shift pack.
I honestly forgot entirely the sentence as soon as I started saying it.
Suffering the shoulder on the shit sack.
Nice,
By L'Jarius Sneed. Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed's the one that injured him on that strip sack in the first half of the Bucs loss to the Kansas City Chiefs last week. Didn't miss a snap, but it was apparent he was in pain. But he's going to play this Sunday. Any concerns for Tom Brady, or is it hogs up? You're starting him if he's on your lineup.
Always with those guys, he's in that group. We call it the quarterback glob almost, right? Where it's like that group of non-mobile quarterbacks that still have good arms. You know what I mean? Like, or I mean, at this point, They have kind of shaky arms, like Stafford and Brady. Aaron Rodgers, I would put in that glob. Joe Burrow might even be in that group. We're like, if you have any sort of mobile upside play, you go with those guys. But, Tua is not around. There's not really you can't start Justin Fields, so you probably do have to start Tom Brady if you have him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have Tom Brady in a few leagues, and I am starting him in those leagues. Yeah, you can't bench Tom Brady.
He's got all the weapons back except Cameron Brate. Probably not going to play with a concussion.
I think he'll be all right.
You think Brate's going to play? Oh,
I think Tom Brady will be all right without Brate.
Brate went to Harvard. Pretty smart. Pretty smart guy.
Smart guy. I don't know. I know some idiots that went to Harvard. Not personally, just on like TV and stuff.
Just on TV.
They live in my cell phone most of the time. That's where I see them all the time. It's just in that little screen. Yesterday, guys, Richard Sherman after the game went off during his post-game show about how he thinks the last part of the game should have been handled. I can read that quote, but I think we have the clip ready, Keith. If you want to run that, let Richard Sherman tell us himself what he thought about the end of that game.
Let's see it. I love that, dude. I love that, bro.
I love Richard Sherman.
God, I love you, man. That's incredible. I love that. Like, you could tell he was trying to stay composed. He was like, run the ball. And then, like, it just run the ball. Run the ball! Like it just, like, broke. Like he said it calm. He's like, that does not capture what I'm trying to say here. Like,
I respect that so much because that's something that we would do. We would get on a freaking primetime broadcast. We would get up there and then just be like, run the ball!
I'm pretty sure I did that exact thing yesterday talking about Justin Fields, except saying throw the ball, right?
Yeah.
When we were talking about, his dropbacks without throwing it. But like while watching that, all I could think of was that gif of Richard Sherman reacting to the Malcolm Butler interception, right? The oh no gif. It was just playing in my head.
Yeah, that was playing in his head too while he was staring at that, thinking about that. That's pretty awesome. Richard Sherman, I'm a big fan. I'm glad they got you over there commenting on these games. Also, I just want to comment. I know people complain about it. I love Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. It is the bomb. Have you guys turned on Prime Vision? Like, they've got a couple different broadcasts. There's a Prime Vision broadcast. If you guys watch, turn it on. It is unbelievable. It made that game last night. Like, they have advanced stats along the side and under the bottom the entire time. All players are labeled with a little tag above them at the top of the play.
That's pretty sweet.
So you can see them. They track the routes live while the players are running them. So you can see the
vision,
path.
bro.
You can see the path that each player took. And then they've got live updates on like what happened, what they're most likely to do on third down, like who their heaviest third down targets are, their success rates on different plays. Like, it was just on my screen while I was watching football, all this stuff that I wanted to know. And it was just sitting. It changed that game watching experience. They were killing.
I don't dislike Amazon Prime. I just find it like a little goofy in the sense that like I can tell it's all brand new to a lot of them. And so it's like, it's just kind of makes it not like,
it makes it fun.
It's not bad. It's just kind of like, I don't want to say cute because that sounds condescending, but it's just fun to watch because of that.
It's like the city that like isn't a big city. It's a very small city, but it has proximity to a college town. Like, it's about an hour away. Let's hypothetically call this city Greenville, South Carolina. Just pure hypothetical situation here, where everyone moves there, and it's not quite a real city, but everyone's excited to make it a real city. So they're all working really hard to do like community events and have farmers market and like all this stuff, and like everyone's excited, and it's got like a great vibe. But you're there, and it's like, well, this is kind of cute. Like, this is a cute city, and that's how you feel, not in a condescending way, but in a like.
This is nice and snug.
This isn't Atlanta. This isn't Houston. This isn't Baltimore.
It is what it is, and
it is what it is, and it's really nice. It's really nice.
And I feel like just us being like on this side of media, like having to create shows and do the type of like, I totally feel for them. I've totally been in maybe not those high stakes, but like
I like the broadcasters.
Yeah. The broadcasters I think they picked are great. I think that they're learning.
There's never been like an awkward silence or like a weird moment on this show. Yeah, of course.
Not once.
Never.
Nonstop.
Never any hiccups. We went 0 to 100.
No one's ever said like Bronco instead of Russell Wilson or anything like that on this show.
Can you imagine if like in the middle of the game, Al Michaels was just like, and Bronco Wilson with the interception.
I meant Wilson. Jeff Dale.
Jeff Dale. Griffin Jr.
Joe, one day you and I should comment a game and we'll get every name wrong. Every single name wrong.
We'll just make things up. Oh, that's a big old shootout. Oh, he just hit him in the dingle.
Tim Wright says, wasn't able to catch the game last night. What did I miss? Here, I'll give you a quick recap.
Kick.
That was the game.
Yeah.
That was it.
Punt. Field goal, punt.
Dude, it was exciting for no one except for one man. One brave man on the entire planet was willing to put his money on the line to bet that this would be the worst football game of all time. And that man was producer Keith. Literally the only person in the world on the edge of his seat the entire time because he put money on the first, I think of the prop. Did he do first touchdown scored? No touchdown?
No touchdown scored.
No touchdown. So he just sitting there rooting for the worst game ever.
$10 on it or something. Got
$700 for it. So there's a dude I
posted in
New
our
Jersey.
Chat. Oh yeah, you're gonna bring it up.
Dude in Atlantic City bet $1,000 on it and won 100,000. And those are the odds that I saw on FanDuel where it was like plus 10,000 on FanDuel to do if you did the first touchdown bet and did no touchdown, it was plus 10,000, which honestly means that Keith somehow found bad odds for that bet.
Can you imagine
worse odds?
Can you imagine putting $1,000 on no touchdown being scored? That's got to be some sort of like kink, right? Like that's got to be a sex thing. Like there's no way that you're gonna sit through that entire game with $1,000 on the line if that's not like a sex thing, where it's like putting your money on the line for really mundane, awful, boring things is like what gets you going.
Right? You know that dude just like everyone's like, oh, this guy's a genius. He probably sat there and was like, well, the running backs are hurt. How they go and score, right? Like that's probably the thought process that went into that bet. And that's definitely what Keith did.
I like how we're in Atlantic City, but it was a Southern accent anyways. Like it was
Russell Wilson can't throw.
Well, how they done gonna score without the running backs there now? Yeah.
Country accent. Just he says no one with a New Jersey accent would make that bet.
No way, dude. No way. New Jersey guys would be like, I'm walking here.
I'm walking.
No touchdowns.
New Jersey specifically.
No touchdowns.
Put ketchup on my bagel.
My bagel.
You got to ask for no ketchup on your bagel in New Jersey. Tim can confirm. Bagel Master's top tier. But if I don't ask for no ketchup, they're putting ketchup on it on my bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh, on the bacon, egg, and cheese. I thought you were just on a regular bagel. Like you just
on a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. No, you don't get your cinnamon toast bagel with cream cheese and ketchup. That would be disgusting.
Kind of dope.
You know, as bad as this game was, I still loved it. I know everybody's complaining, but it was still fun just watching football. You know what I mean?
I watched all of regulation. Every last second of regulation I watched in this game. And I had moments of enjoyment. I did. I had really invasive thoughts last night of like, should I get into IDP? Like, did anyone else have that thought? Like midway through the third quarter,
Absolutely
you were like,
not.
You were just sitting there and you were like,
not.
Like I'm not going to. Don't get me wrong. Like that sounds like I'm not as smart as Craig. I don't have the ability to like get into that. But I was sitting there thinking like, like maybe I should get into IDP. Like I bet this game would be a little more fun if I was cheering for some of these sacks, right?
No, dude. You got playoff hockeyed, my friend. Like you're right. when you're in the moment and it's a good one, you're like, yeah, maybe I could do this, but
I got playoff hockey.
You don't want to be that dude. You don't want to be that Keith out there rooting for deep.
Also, Tommy in the chat saying Keith watched last night's game bound in leather. Without a doubt, Keith did. He was sitting there. He made that bet just like thinking, oh, man, I'm going to be so sad tonight. This isn't even going to be fun.
I pictured him like Kylo Ren. Every 1 yard run, he's like, more.
Why is Kylo Ren such a good like just personality comp for Keith?
Yeah, it really is, dude, because he's so whiny. Keith told us he quit the show this morning. Oh, because he won $700. Like, yeah, right, dude. You can't quit. You're fired.
I don't know what it is about Adam Driver. I just like I get such weird vibes. Like I'm just like I can't quite. JL said you said Adam Driver and I'm out. We can talk about Kylo Ren, but not about Adam Driver himself. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Just something about him. I'm like, I don't know. It just I get weird vibes from him. I have a hard time watching a movie with Adam Driver in it.
Yeah, he's got one of those faces. Like he reminds me of Adrian Brody a little bit.
Also, I see
Adrian
Donovan
Brody.
Adrian Brody. I don't know who Adrian Brody is. Is that a name I should know?
Yeah.
He was in Pianist, you were going to say, right?
Yeah.
He's also in
excuse you guys, this is a family show.
Yeah, he's also in a lot of he
of
has like
stuff.
little small roles in Wes Anderson movies. He like just comes out of nowhere, for like I think he's in the Grand Budapest Hotel and like a bunch of those ones.
I love that movie. That's a movie I've seen. That's a really good movie. I like hotel movies that take place in hotels. Bad Times at the El Royale.
What are your top 20 hotel movies?
Top 20 hotel
1408
movies.
is definitely in there.
The Disney Channel original movie of The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody has to be up there. Bad Times at the El Royale is truly one of my top 3 favorites.
I love how you mentioned, what was it, Zach and Cody before you mentioned like The Shining.
What's The Shining?
What's The Shining? There you go, dude. Please tell me you've seen The Shining at least.
I've not seen The Shining. I know what it is though. Yeah, I got a movie list to catch up on, Coop. I got an Excel document and everything that I put together. The Shining
Once he gets
is on
all
there.
the way through RuPaul and Big Brother Celebrity and Big Brother Island and Big Brother Super Island, then he will get to those movies. All right.
Jail. Don't worry. I'm through Big Brother. It's Clone Wars that we got to finish now.
Oh yeah, and Clone Wars. I forgot.
I got to get through Clone Wars.
You watched the animated ones?
The animated one.
Dude,
it is so sick.
Kind of tight. Yeah,
it's so good.
I fell off. I got to get back in there, dude.
I just finished up season 4. Oh, it's intense. It's
probably
a
one of the
great
most
show.
Emotionally charged kids cartoons that I've ever seen.
Emotionally charged.
Keithan here said, man, we need to start a Patreon where the highest bid is you can make Simon watch a movie. The highest level. So if you're on that top tier of Patreon, you get to pick a movie that I have to watch.
Yo,
from
I'm
an
writing that
unlimited
down. That's a good idea.
supply of movies that Simon has not seen.
There are some, and then I can part of that is I can make like a 3-minute review of the movie afterwards. Like we can do like Simon reviews movies that he's never seen before, and it'll be like classics.
Simon reviews classic movies that everyone has already seen, ever review for, and that'll be a hot segment, dude.
The one that pisses people off a lot is I have fallen asleep within the first 10 minutes of the movie 300 3 different times. I've tried to watch it and I have fallen asleep. And the same thing, I have fallen asleep within the first 30 minutes of Inception all 3 times I've tried to watch it. And I know JL, that one hurts his feelings.
So it's like every time you watch 300, it's like, it had been nearly 30 years since the wolf in the winter cold. Yeah, right. Yep. Look at that.
And then I'm out. Craig says, please tell me you've seen Jurassic Park. I have seen Jurassic Park and I've seen Jurassic World. I've seen most of the movies in that franchise. I don't want to say all of them.
So you're a Michael Crichton guy.
I've read a Michael Crichton book from time to time.
What have you read? I just read Sphere. I was having like anxiety on the plane, so I was like, I'll read a book, and I put on a anxiety doctor goes underwater in a tight submarine, and that was the perfect book to read on a plane for sure.
Mine was on a plane too, Coop. I picked it up from the airport, and I think it was. I'm having trouble remembering if it was Michael Crichton or if it was Stephen King, because I feel like all of their paperbacks that you buy at the airport look exactly the same, but it was called Congo. And I think it was a Michael.
I'm reading that right now.
Are you reading that right now?
With the Gorillas, yeah.
That's the only one.
Kind of on a Michael Crichton kick, you know what I mean?
Michael Crichton kick.
Yeah.
I love a good author kick. Sometimes you just get addicted to like an author's way of writing, and nothing else scratches that itch.
Little
techno thriller, you know what I mean?
Guys, this is the Front Yard Fantasy Book Club. Now, this is not the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We're talking nothing but books and book club over here. Now, coming up next, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this Thursday night football game recap and what happened for you. And then we got some Sunday previews. We'll be going through the Sunday slate, talking what we think is going to happen in these games. And then our good friend Vinny Iyer is joining the show a little bit later today. God, I love Vinny. Can't wait for him to come on. We'll be talking our favorite DFS and prop plays as well. And then Patrick Crichton is going to come on the show as well, host of ESPN's Late Hits and a Texans reporter columnist for Gallery Sports. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I think it's hard to judge Daniel Jones. He's got no offensive line and he's got no weapons. So, he still made a couple of bad decisions this year, but it's really hard to judge him. And that's the difficult part for the Giants. They have to figure out if he's the guy. How can you make that assessment when he's throwing a Kenny Golladay who can't catch anything?
Jones in a shotgun set. Back to throw. Has time. Fastball to the right side. Golladay makes the catch, but then he fell down and he never controlled it. It's incomplete. He tried to run away from the defender, and he dropped it.
I mean, Richie James, look at this. It is bad. They really need Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney out there. And even then, it's still not enough. And I believe Daniel Jones is the most pressured quarterback in football. And it's going to be hard for him to have success.
Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
What can we say about 5 more passes batted at the line by Baker Mayfield? That's 12 for the season. I've never seen anything like this. Last year's leader had 17 for the entire season. Mayfield's on pace for 51, and the Panthers barely throw.
Thank you. They barely throw. They don't make no explosive plays. They can't do nothing offensively. But when you look at this team, they ran 51 plays yesterday. They had 220 total yards. They ran the ball for 40 yards. They threw the ball for 180. On the throws, it was under 5 yards a pass. They are using their short passing game as a running game, but it ain't going nowhere. There's no explosive plays from anybody. Baker Mayfield's a dog, and that was just a terrible display of football. There was a reason to boo. There's a reason to be calling for Rule's job. There's a reason to want everybody out in Carolina because that thing is pitiful.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
We are hearing reports, Ray, that people felt this was so unfair and so dastardly that people are changing rules and allowing folks to remove Kamara from their starting lineup. You cannot break this rule. This is lousy, Ray, and I hate the precedent that some people are setting with this.
Later on, the commissioner said, oh, yeah, sorry, you didn't get up at 6 a.m. today. We'll allow you to make a switch. Sorry. If you're mad at something here, you don't get mad at your league, you don't get mad at the rules, you don't get mad at your commissioner, you get mad at the bloody NFL, who I have said all along, what are we doing here? Why are we trying to take over the world?
It's just bad luck, Ray. This happens a lot, doesn't it? It just doesn't happen with the likes of Alvin Kamara. You got to be awake when the actives and inactives come out.
But again, if you want to lay blame, it's the NFL. Why is the NFL playing games that the majority of the people in the United States aren't even awake for? What are they doing? Isn't it our league? North America's league, or is it Europe's league? So if you're mad at someone, you're mad at the NFL.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. JL is on poop alert. He's pooping. I don't know.
Right.
That's what I like to say. We're just making fun of him. No, he got another clue on that Grimace treasure. Coop. So he went out to check real quick. Got a hot tip that it was actually in the park near his house. The second level of the Grimace treasure. So we'll see if he finds
more park places.
More park places.
More millions, dude.
If we're lucky over there, more millions. We had a couple other pieces of news.
I was
that I wanted
not pooping.
That's not what I heard.
Sounds like
I was back before the break ended. Keith was just sleeping back there. Didn't let me back.
Keith was pooping.
Keith was also pooping. We pooped together. I need a supervisor.
Dang it.
You know what the word? You know what's really unfair? Like a real injustice in this show that I think hasn't been talked about enough.
What's that?
Keith can poop while working as long as he sets up in there. I can't.
Wow,
well, I guess I could. But
yeah, I mean, nobody's stopping you.
I might do it on accident one of these days, but not on purpose.
We've been in my bathroom this whole time. That's what this set is.
This is Michael Jordan up there.
Yeah.
You know, I've said,
bathroom?
Man, I should stream from the bathroom. I've been joking about that, but I actually did that in Canton because we had to stream from the same hotel room, me and Josh. And so in order to not get feedback on the mics, I had to set up somewhere else. So I just closed the bathroom door, got the bedside end table in front of the toilet, and spent the entire stream sitting on the toilet streaming from the bathroom. Toilet stream.
Toilet stream.
Toilet stream. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo received off-season trade interest from the Panthers, and he was quoted as saying they were top of the list. I think we were advancing with a couple different teams. Nothing obviously came to fruition. They were top of the list. I would say one of the top couple. He said on Thursday when asked if things had advanced with the Panthers in terms of a potential trade in the offseason. He also said he's glad things worked out. He's where he needs to be. But What do you think this Panthers team would have looked like with Jimmy G? Do you think this would have been a better offense? Do you think Matt Rule would be sitting on the hot seat if Jimmy G was over there with the Panthers?
I think you'd still be on the hot seat. I think
agree.
that his style of coaching here, like, and the crazy part about with these coaches like this, like if Matt Rule does get fired, you look back and question a lot of the decisions that were made along the way, right? So like clearly, one of the first things he did was bring in Joe Brady, who was the coach and play caller for those awesome LSU teams, right? With Joe Burrow throwing 50 touchdowns or whatever. And he was fired before the first season even ended. And you might look back and be like, wait a second. Like, so now Joe Brady is obviously working with the Bills and he's the quarterback coach over there. Yeah, I think their quarterback's doing pretty well. So you look at it and be like, okay, maybe Joe Brady deserves another shot here. Maybe, maybe Joe Brady and his boy Terrace Marshall that hasn't gotten a shot, maybe those guys deserve a second look. So whenever there's coaching change and things like that, you have to go back and kind of look at, follow the trail of breadcrumbs to see what might have been the person doing the right thing and getting fired because they're the assistant coach, right?
Yeah. No, there's something going on here. I think you're right though. This isn't this wouldn't have been a like Jimmy G turns this Panthers team around. That's not what's going on. They're not a quarterback away from this Panthers team being good, and Jimmy G's definitely not that quarterback.
Now during the break, you heard Corey Parson talking about the number of bat downs that Baker Mayfield's had. Did you see the clip of him talking to reporters about that?
No, I did not.
They were like, the reporter like asked him about it nicely, and Baker's like, "You got a drill for me?" And the guy was like, "What?" He's like, "You got a drill for me to help me with that?" And then the reporter was like, "No, like that's like what the coaches should be doing." He's like, and the reporter's like, "What? You guys aren't doing those drills?" And Baker's just like, "Next question." Like he tried to get all tough on him.
Such a Baker response. Like
he tried to get all tough on him, and the reporter was like, "Yeah, you should definitely."
Earnestly.
He should be like, "You should definitely be doing drills to help with that." And there are drills to do that. I remember seeing
the broom one.
Yeah, I've seen the Patriots back like when prime JJ Watt before they would play them. You'd see the pictures from practice with all the dudes holding tennis rackets out to mimic JJ Watt's hands.
Tennis rackets to mimic JJ. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Like lunch boxes. That's what that dude's hands are like.
Speaking of
metal ones.
Speaking of JJ Watt, we saw that he had a AFib and got shocked back into rhythm. And I remember I asked my girlfriend about it because she works in heart rhythms. Like that's where she works. And she was like, "Oh, you have no idea." She was like, "This has been such a hot topic at work recently." And I was like, for the first time and maybe the only time ever, you and I had the same conversation at work today. Like me working in fantasy football and you working in like heart rhythms, and we both talked about the same thing. It was an exciting moment for us.
Right. And then you were like, "Did you also talk about poop and Michael Crichton?" And she was like, "We did not."
I was like, "Have you seen Goodfellas?"
Name one hockey player.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Name a single highlight player.
I guarantee those nurses could name way more hockey players than you, bro.
At least, one. That's what they have to get to beat it.
Not a high bar.
Pretty good. Also, we had some comments in the chat. Jimmy Anderson coming in here. Oh, I have pissed Jimmy off this morning. He said, "You watch Clone Wars and not Goodfellas." What the? Just pissed that. And said, "With the damn books, Jesus." Yeah, I read books and I haven't seen Goodfellas, Jimmy. That's who I am. Okay. Maria said, "I don't watch any movie. Makes so many people math. It just maths them right off." God, I'm so mathed
Makes
right
so
now.
many people mad.
Are you mathed? I couldn't be more
math.
mathed. I could be more mathed. And then Donovan Miller in here saying if Jimmy G went there, DJ Moore would be a number 2 wide receiver again and not a bye week flex. Maybe you're not wrong there. DJ Moore was fine with Sam Darnold. Maybe he'd be fine with Jimmy Garoppolo as well.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo, just talent alone, is Jimmy Garoppolo more talented than Baker Mayfield?
I don't know.
I think so. I think he is. I mean, he took a team. I know it was good defense and great offensive line, but he took a team to the NFC Championship last year. People forget the 49ers didn't just kind of like sneak in the playoffs. Like they almost went to the Super Bowl. They're very close to go to the Super Bowl.
That's a very, very good point, and I agree with that. I think Jimmy G doesn't get the credit he deserves for that achievement. I think probably Baker's more naturally talented is kind of the vibe I get. And Jimmy Garoppolo maybe a little less naturally talented, but for whatever reason, he's been able to refine his skills better, currently in the NFL than Baker has. So
yeah, I can see that. I mean, also you got to remember Jimmy G got to work with Tom Brady, Bill Belichick,
right.
McDaniels. He got to work with both McDaniel, right? Because he worked with Mike McDaniel.
Yeah,
too,
McDaniel and McDaniels.
Yeah, all the McDaniels, every version of McDaniel. Shanahan, all those boys, dude. He got to be around a lot better coaching, in my opinion, than what
Why do you think Baker on the Browns? Like the Browns are known for developing quarterbacks well, Coop. Like that's their strong point.
Kevin Stefanski's extent of quarterback drills is like hand off left, hand off right,
throw.
Pitch, yeah. Like you go throw.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. Is that like he probably had to work for it a little more, right? Because he wasn't really given the same. Like Baker came in, he had the Heisman and everything, and was first overall pick. Like he was the guy. But Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have that.
According to producer Keith, legendary Earn Dog, pulled up that Baker clip for us. Let's take a look.
Earn Dog,
dude, the man.
Woof woof.
If you got a drill for me, you can let me know. If you got a drill for me, you can let me know.
Coaches have to give you any suggestions for something like that?
I mean, it's like it's staying in the pocket. It's finding windows to throw, getting their hands down for the game. I mean, it's the same things I keep saying.
Dude, he's so done with that. I love
that.
that.
I love the reporter though. He's like,
what have I been saying?
Reporter's like, coaches don't have any of those drills.
Yeah, they need to bring Matt Rule up there and ask him like, hey, you got any drills for him? Like this guy's saying you don't got any drills.
We have drills. Matt Rule will be like, we have drills. Tons of
them. I feel like this is like
they go to another school in
Canada. Days, man.
Yeah. I feel like this is like the little kid at preschool saying like, no, my mom said I could eat the fruit snacks at 10 a.m. She told me that this morning. It's fine. They're like, so if I call your mom, she's going to say that you can have the fruit snacks for your snack? Yep, for sure. And then
Next question. Let's ride.
Ask me about the carrot sticks. Is that how Russell Wilson sounds to you, Jay?
Russell Wilson comes out.
We're on to carrot sticks.
We're on to carrot sticks. One more big piece of news, potentially the most important. 3-time Pro Bowl running back Le'Veon Bell is making his pro boxing debut versus Uriah Hall on October 29th. Roughly a month after knocking out another former football player, Adrian Peterson, in an exhibition, his professional boxing debut was announced Thursday, and he'll be facing longtime UFC middleweight Uriah Hall on October 29th as part of the undercard of the Jake Paul Anderson Silva Most Valuable Promotion Showtime pay-per-view. You guys think about this fight?
That all sounds like complete nonsense to me. The fact that Jake and Logan Paul, I mean, dude, kudos to those dudes because they're like, they started off as like, dudes that were on YouTube, just like, I don't know, blowing like snot bubbles or whatever they would do. And then now those guys are legit fighters. Like it seems like they can actually fight, but like in my mind, like fighting Anderson Silva is insane. Like that dude is going to twist your leg off and then he's going to do a backflip and do that little guitar move he does. Like I would never, why would you ever want to do that? So I don't know. Maybe Jake Paul can beat up Anderson Silva, the spider, but I don't think that's going to happen.
You would have to, Coop, how much would you have to get paid to get in the ring with Anderson Silva? Like what is that dollar amount?
Zillion. I mean, I have to, first of all, I'd have to know that I'd have to be promised that he would submit me instead of knock me out. He is a submission guy. I would just lie on the ground. I would go right to the ground, like, and I would have to actually try and fight. Like that's part of the deal.
What about let's make it simpler. You just got to take a punch, one punch in the chest from Anderson Silva.
In the chest.
Yeah, let's say chest instead of in the face.
On the side that my heart's not on.
Okay, let's make it stomach so it knocks the wind out of you. Okay, you're taking it straight in the stomach.
Okay, but I can still die from that. But I think I would do that for, I don't know, $100,000. Do I have to pay for the hospital bills myself?
No, hospital bills are covered.
Yeah, I think
I feel like I feel like this is one of those ones where I start at 100 grand, but then if you go, yo, would you do it for 50? I'm like, yeah. Would you do it for 10? Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah. But
like if someone came up to me and offered me $1,000 and said Anderson Silva gets to punch you in the stomach, I would probably let him do it for $1,000. Like that would really mean a lot.
I think if you gave me like 7 or 8 Bud Lights, I would just be like, let's just do it for fun. Let's just do it. Just get it on video. We'll get some views on this.
You're right. I think back to like college, and I feel like every time after like 7 or 8 Bud Lights, you'd be out on like the lake beach, and all of a sudden all the guys are like, yo, who wants to fight? Like who wants to wrestle?
Exactly,
like
dude.
who wants to wrestle? Like
wrestle?
if there's an open area and more than one inebriated male, they're like, let's wrestle.
Right.
Let's do it. Hey, punch me. Let's see what we can get.
During the day, I'm like, I see a spider. I'm like, when I'm drunk, I'm like, $5, I'll eat 10 spiders.
When I was in high school, the easiest $3 I ever made. This girl I found a moth during PE on the track, and I told this girl I'd eat it for $1, and she said sure. And then another girl walking with her said, I will give you $3 not to eat that moth. And she gave me $3 not to eat the moth. So I tripled the money I would have gotten for eating it. All I had to do was threaten to eat that moth in front of someone for $1.
You can make a career of that, dude.
We could make a career of that.
Traveling around.
Chase says, we talking football or no? Sometimes we're talking football. We are talking football, and that's
anyway. Wasn't there was a football player that was supposed to be fighting somebody, but I talked about the other fight.
Lev Bell is fighting Uriah Hall in that matchup. So that's what we got going on. He's a former football player. We can move on though. Excuse me right there. We got a bunch of games coming up for week 5. That was just the tip of the iceberg that we saw last night on Thursday Night Football. If you look at the rest of this slate, it's a lot of gross games, but hopefully that was by far the grossest one we're going to be looking at. The first game I wanted to talk about, guys, after we're moving on from Thursday Night Football. We can put that out of our memories. It doesn't even exist anymore. Is the New York Giants Green Bay Packers game. The Packers favored by 8 points at home with a 41.5 point over under. Coop, how do you see this game going? Are the Packers covering this? They're going to win big like Vegas expects?
It's always, I think the Packers are definitely going to win this game, but covering 8, that's a pretty spicy line. That's set pretty high, but at home, oh no, it's in London. Jeez, yeah, I think they'll cover this game. I think the Packers win this one pretty handily. What do you think, JL?
Yeah, I think the Packers will also win this pretty handily. It might be a get right game for Aaron Rodgers. You think he can finish top 5 this week?
I could see it, man. I mean, like Lazard's coming on, Dobbs looking good. He's got pretty much everybody at his
weapons
disposal now, right? Whereas the Giants are the complete opposite. Everybody's banged up, or out for the season. Do we know if I know Matt's boy Richie James just got hurt too this past week? He was limited with an ankle. So do we know if Kadarius Toney and or Wan'Dale Robinson will be playing? Would be cool to see those guys at some point.
I know Wan'Dale Robinson, I feel like was close because I was looking at him yesterday on my fantasy teams and trying to decide whether I wanted to take that shot this week.
He was a limited participant at practice yesterday and the day before, so that's good signs that he was at least participating. Kadarius Toney was a DNP at practice yesterday.
Kenny Galladay is not. They already said he's not going to travel with the team.
Yeah, and Kenny Galladay has not practiced the past 2 days either. Richie James was a limited participant. Oh, and Albert St. Tony's been ruled out. Yeah, that checks out that he hasn't didn't practice yesterday, not going to be playing. Maybe we see some Wan'Dale Robinson. JL, if he is playing, is that a player you're comfortable starting in this game? Like, is that a guy you're willing to plug in with all the other players out? Kenny Galladay out, Kadarius Toney out, Sterling Shepard obviously not playing either.
No, you got to wait and see. It's not. Yeah, it's week 5. It's your fantasy team. You got to protect yourself here. You don't know what Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be, and we don't know how he's going to fit into this offense. Just wait and see. I'm excited to see what he can do in this offense. It seems like they're pretty excited about him, so that's promising. But yeah, you cannot start him this week unless you have no other choice.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Now, Joe, you mentioned this could be a good right game for Aaron Rodgers. My only concern with that is I think it would have to purposefully be a get right game for Aaron Rodgers because this Giants defense hasn't been great at stopping the run so far this season. They've got two competent backs in Green Bay between Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. They're heavy favorites. This may just be an Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon kind of game, but we could see, like, I just don't know if they're going to need Aaron Rodgers to have a top 5 performance to beat these Giants, right? Like, I don't know if we're going to see that from him because it may not be necessary. I don't think these Giants are very good.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's the case every time when we see like a heavy favorite, right? That's the narrative you have to worry about, but it doesn't always play out that way. We've seen
the Giants secondary hasn't been bad.
No.
Giants secondary has not been bad at all. So yeah, I mean, I think that's further evidence for that narrative is that, you know, maybe they rely more heavily on the run game.
But it looks like we all believe the Packers are going to win this one. They seem like the much better team, even though the Giants, what's the Giants record now? They're 2-2, right? Sitting there at 2-2. They were on the precipice of being 3-1, which would have been like a travesty to everything if the Giants were sitting at 3-1.
Instead,
travesty to everything.
Well, instead the Bears are 3-1. No, like, you know, that's like that's even worse.
Ow,
dude.
That is so much worse.
Oh, the Giants are 3-1, and the Bears are 2-2. We had it backwards.
We got it backwards.
Oh.
We got it backwards.
Phew.
So I think
I don't know why, but that makes me feel better about things.
It does. It does. Because the Giants, I feel like, are a better team than the Bears, even though the Giants aren't that great. I mean, like, Eagles are 4-0, Cowboys are 3-1, Giants are 3-1. Division maybe a little better than people thought. But probably not.
God, that Bears team is just so hard to watch. Man, I'm already sad about next Thursday. I think I'm just going to, like, download a different game, like one that I know is exciting from a while ago.
NFL Network. They're playing replays during Thursday Night Football.
Are they?
Yeah.
Just turn that on.
Just turn that on and pretend like that's the live game.
I think that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to live tweet like the 2018 Rams Chiefs game or whatever that like 100-point game was. I'm just going to watch that one instead.
Are you guys taking the Giants to cover the spread in this game? 8-point spread?
No.
Nah.
No, because I just don't trust him without the weapons. And, you know, it's all about Saquon Barkley. You're just betting on one player. I'd rather just bet on Saquon Barkley's props, you know?
Yeah.
And to put in perspective, the Bears are attempting 16.8 pass attempts per game. The next closest is 24. And there are some teams in this league that are attempting almost 50. The Jets are averaging 48 pass attempts a game. The Bears
they have Joe Flacco. You can't hold everyone to that standard.
They got him. He's holding the clipboard now, though, dude. Unfortunately.
Yeah, they put him away.
Yeah, they put him. They put him away. They put him in the
box. Back on the shelf. Near mint condition for him. We had some questions in the chat, guys. In here, Bronson wanted to know: start one at flex, Zeke, Thielen, or Duvernay. So Ezekiel Elliott, Adam Thielen, or Devin Duvernay. I'm assuming it's not Duvernay. Like we can go ahead and cross him out. You're starting Adam Thielen over Zeke.
He has like the 4th highest. He's either 4th or 6th. I was just looking at it. The highest snap share of any wide receiver in the league. He's playing virtually every single snap, running every route. 20% target share. He's had 7, 8, 9 targets last 3 games, and he's a guy that I would say the odds are at least a coin flip, if not better, of him to score a touchdown in any given game. So for me, Adam Thielen, anywhere I have him, I'm just comfortable putting him in the lineup, especially like a 3 wide receiver league or a league with a flex. Get him in there, man. Thielen has been rock solid.
Joe, what about you? Are you going to take Zeke?
I just benched Zeke in a league because of the matchup. He's going against the Rams, and that's the most difficult run defense for fantasy so far this season. So Zeke, there's already risk. There's already concerns there. And then he's got one of the most difficult matchups this week. If I can, I'd rather go with the guy who I think has more upside this week. I'm not saying Zeke is falling off. I'm not saying drop him. Just saying I'd rather start Adam Thielen this week as well.
The funny thing about Zeke is he will somehow like sneak and weasel his way into being an RB1 by the end of the season. Like he'll probably finish like RB on the season. He'll be because
it's going to be awful to watch.
He'll finish like RB11 or something, and you'll be like, when did that happen? Like that's kind of what Zeke's been the last few years. But he's literally if he doesn't finish as an RB1 this year, it'll be the first time in his career. That's where Zeke is at.
Super consistent.
Dude, he finished as an RB1 in that season where he only played 10 games. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, but Tony Pollard is the problem right now. So
Tony Pollard, a real problem. A real problem.
It's a mess.
We had a question from Victor. He said, "Do you think Breece plays this weekend? Breece Hall?" Do you guys think Breece Hall plays this weekend? Have you seen any updates on his status, on whether or not he's going to be active?
Better. That's what
I think so. I think everything I've seen.
I haven't seen anything. Yeah. I'm with you, Jay. I haven't seen anything negative about Breece Hall playing, but he should be out there on the field. And I think he's a great play this week. It sounds like, according to Robert Saleh, he's just nicked up. Like he got a little banged up, but he's good to go. So no concerns about Breece for me.
Yeah. 7, what does he get? Like 7 targets a game?
Dude, he's been quietly fantastic. Like nobody is talking about it.
The thing is, whereas the Bears, I believe, have to positively regress in pass attempts. They're not going to finish the season with less than 20 pass attempts a game. I just can't see it happening. They don't get to play the Bears and Texans every week. That's who they've been playing. You know what I mean? They played the 49ers, Bears, Texans. Like, you can go through those games without throwing. They can't. They're not going to be able to walk into Minnesota this week and not throw the ball 25 times at least. So there's going to be positive regression there. And with the Jets, I think there's going to be regression the other way. There's no way they're going to throw 900 times or whatever. You know what I mean? So
9,000 times.
Breece Hall, I like the thing with Breece Hall is he's now every week gaining more and more snaps over Michael Carter, but you also can't, you can't project him to get 8-9 targets every single week because they're not going to throw 50 times every week.
Nope.
Yeah.
Albert down here had a stat for us. Said Fields has completed 34 passes. Kupp has 42 receptions.
Nonsense.
Cooper Kupp has 8 more receptions than Fields has completed passes this season. That's absurd.
That's nonsense, dude.
That's truly absurd.
That's trash.
Guys, coming up, we're gonna keep on previewing these Sunday games. And our friend Vinny Ayers joining the show as well. We'll give you some of our favorite DFS plays for this weekend. And then Patrick Crichton is going to be joining the show a little bit later, host of ESPN's Late Hits. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
I got to tell this story, okay? So we're out in Canton, Ohio, and we decide to go eat late at night, like after midnight. We decide to go to the Waffle House. Somehow, Fensty's never been there, even though he lives near it. I'm in New York, New Jersey. There's no Waffle House close by. So if you go to the Waffle House, what are you going to eat more than likely? Pancakes, waffles, eggs, and all that, right? So, of course, our guy Rich, he gets breakfast. I get breakfast. Fensty doesn't. He's never been to a Waffle House. How do you not have waffles? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, there's a time for waffles.
Eat breakfast at midnight. Come on, man.
That's the thing. I didn't want breakfast, man. I got like, what was it, like a cheesesteak sandwich or something like that?
That's like someone who has never been to IHOP going there and ordering a burger. Who does that?
That I wouldn't do. That I would not.
That's the equivalent of what you did. Well, I don't even know what you had.
I got this steak sandwich, which was
steak sandwich at the Waffle House. Never been there, and that's what you get. You're an odd guy, man. You're
I'm not an odd guy.
Yes, you are. Can we get a vote? Can we get a vote in the chat, please? I mean, if you've never been to Waffle House and you get a steak wrap, something's wrong with you, right? Don't you have to get waffles and eggs and bacon and all that? It's the Waffle House.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It was my first time, okay? Ordering the hash browns was already complicated enough. Smothered and covered, and it's almost like it's crazy how much combinations you can have. And I know that everybody's killing me for it right now. And no, to our producers, I don't get pasta at a steakhouse or anything like that. No,
Alfredo, that's what he gets at the steakhouse.
Do you follow me on Instagram? I'm always on that grill. You know how much I love steak. Why would I go to a steakhouse and get pasta?
Because you go to Waffle House to get steak wraps. That's why.
I didn't know it was all waffles, bro. I thought it had like a little bit of everything. That's why. You know, I didn't realize they were famous for waffles. Hey, look. You know,
the name of the place is the Waffle House. What else would they be famous for?
You know what? That's fine. I guess it's a hot take getting a steak sandwich. As long as it was good, I housed that thing in 10 seconds.
Okay, you were never there, and that's the first time. You're not going to try a waffle? Do you admit it was a mistake?
I don't really like waffle.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are in the middle of breaking down the Sunday night games. We just broke down that Giants-Packers game. The next game I wanted to talk about was the Seattle Seahawks New Orleans Saints game. Seattle going to New Orleans. New Orleans are they're 5.5-point favorites at home, a 46.5-point over-under, which with the slate of games this week is one of the higher totals for the week. There's not that many above 45 points. This is one of the higher ones. And before we start breaking this game down, yesterday, it was posted by the link was posted by Jack Settleman, if I remember correctly, but it was to another podcast website. And they had this tool where you could go in there and rank all of the NFL teams, but it wasn't like you make your rankings. It gave you a series of like 80 head-to-head matchups, like one by one. And it was changing the matchups based on your answers, right? Like, who do you like better? Cardinals or Saints? Packers or Seahawks? Like, and it would generate your rankings for you. It was sick. Like, I had so much fun doing that during Thursday Night Football last night. But the reason I bring that up now is two of the teams I had the most trouble with whenever they were put up against teams that weren't like in that top tier were the Saints and the Seahawks. Like, I really struggled with these teams, like looking at them head to head against other teams in the league, like Seahawks versus Saints. Like, I don't know who's going to end with a better record. Like, I know the Saints are 5.5-point favorites here, but yeah, I'll see if I can find that link so we can do that. But this is a weird matchup.
You have to find it because I need to do it. So
all of a sudden, we're all just going to be quiet as we're going through it on air. And I didn't screenshot mine, so I'm going to have to redo it, see if we get similar results. But you guys get what I mean about the Seahawks and the Saints? I feel like there's just questions. Like, we haven't seen what these offenses really look like. Like, Geno Smith has looked incredible, and the Seahawks offense at times has looked very good. I expect the Saints offense to be better than it has been, but they've got a great defense. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to think of these teams on a big scale.
On a big scale.
I mean, the Saints are 1-3. I'm worried for the Saints here because their quarterback's banged up, their running back's banged up. Their defense is still pretty solid though.
Yeah, their defense has been playing.
Yeah,
playing.
I think
well.
I think the Seahawks might be better than the Saints. Like, I know that the Saints are favored to win by 5.5 this week, but I don't know. The Seahawks are they have the momentum on their side. So I don't trust the Saints to cover that line.
You like Seahawks money line in this? You can get them at plus 205 money line.
If I was a gambling man like Keith, I would be betting the Seahawks to cover and then sprinkling a little on that money line too.
I'm with you. That's exactly what I was thinking. I like the Seahawks to cover in this one, and I don't mind throwing a little juice on that money line. I think I picked the Seahawks straight up in this one to win this game. Geno Smith keeps rolling. Jail, what do you think here? Are you with us? Or are you thinking the Saints are going to pull this one out?
I'm with you guys. What? But I just want to have a distinction from you guys here, which is that Andy Dalton might be possibly the best quarterback to ever play, and we might be underestimating him. Just gotta say that. The Red Riffle.
The Red Riffle, my mortal enemy. The Red Riffle is not the greatest quarterback to ever play, and it's not going to work.
No.
I did find the link to that tool. I'm going to post it in the YouTube chat as well. I'll get that posted over there. And if you guys want to go through and rank some teams, I just posted it. It's in there. They've got a couple ones. They've got one for quarterbacks as well. So you can go through and do all of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And then they've got the one for NFL teams. So just click on that site and then start ranking those head-to-head matchups, and you can get your rankings.
What is this website, dude? It looks like a MySpace page, dude. It looks like a GeoCities. What is
Oh, this is
it's like a link sharing site.
Yeah.
And this is a link sharing site for another sports podcast, the Stay Hot Sports Podcast.
Yeah. Dude, we should just get Bladen, the guy who made this site, I'm assuming, on the show.
Let's get Bladen on here. Keith, get Bladen on here. Come on, Keith.
Get him on.
Where is he? Right now, we want Bladen on the show.
The second one I clicked on, it was Seahawks came up, and I'm like,
Oh, Coop's doing it right now. I knew we were going to lose Coop as soon as that link went in there. Are we going to keep seeing magic from Geno Smith? Like, are we going to keep seeing Geno Smith look like he did last week in that game, or is it going to be a comeback down to earth game for Geno Smith? Like, what if you have Geno Smith on your fantasy team? Are you starting him this week? Like, where does he land in your rankings going up against the Saints D?
Look, I don't want to get carried away. I always, I keep things pretty close, and I keep it pretty even keeled. But Geno Smith is an absolute megastar, and he might be the QB1 in the entire.
He might be the what? The QB what?
QB1 in the entire league and world.
Over Andy Dalton?
It's close between those two. Yeah, those two are kind of in a tier of their own. They're kind
Over
of
Mike White.
They're kind of like the Andrews, Kelsey of the quarterback world. Those two.
Checks out. Smith, Dalton, Mike White in that next tier though. He's sitting there right below them. I have to imagine.
As far as firing the ball at the running back, Mike White might be the best in the world.
Dude, I'm looking at Geno Smith's just accuracy and efficiency metrics this year so far on Player Profiler, and it is insane. He's like top 5 in so many categories.
Super mega star, high end.
Accuracy rating, number 1. True completion percentage, number 1. Play action completion percentage, number 1. It's insane.
Yeah.
Keep saying things and then saying number 1. I was getting
ball
excited.
Completion percentage, number 1. I mean,
yes. Number 5. Yeah, oh shoot.
He's playing well, man. It's fun to root for him at the very least. So, you know,
Yes.
like let's do a couple here. Like, so if you have Tom Brady or Geno Smith this week. Oh, yeah, JL.
Just this week?
Just this week.
Tom Brady.
Yeah. I think so.
Andy Dalton.
No one's starting Andy Dalton.
Answer.
Tom Brady against the Falcons.
No, it's Tom Brady against the Falcons. It's not even close on that one. I like Geno Smith, but I'm not starting him over Tom Brady.
Yeah. Okay. So Geno is kind of fringe QB2 is where he really lives, right? Like the front end of the QB2 range, I think.
What about
This week a little lower.
Kyler Murray versus Philly or Geno Smith versus Saints?
Like Kyler Murray. A ton. I gotta go Kyler.
Okay, just making sure I'm looking down this list. Trevor
That is
Lawrence
tough.
versus Houston or Geno Smith versus Saints?
Trevor Lawrence. Geno Smith isn't even good.
Moments after he said he is the number
once
one
you got to put
best
me,
quarterback
once you
in
put me
the
into
world.
the quiz, right? Like everyone's doing right now and not paying attention. I'm also doing. Once you put me into the actual quiz, the answer is never Geno Smith, but
Never.
But maybe every once in a while.
When I was doing that quarterback quiz last night, I was like, it felt disrespectful every time. Like it would ask me like Zach Wilson or Geno Smith, and I'm like, God, that would be so disrespectful to Geno Smith for me to click Zach Wilson right now, like based on what Geno's done so far this year. And then sometimes you still do it anyways. It's rough. But I kind of took that quiz as like, who would you want? Like if you started a franchise today, who would you want as your starting quarterback? Like who would you throw in there?
Oh yeah. You're gonna do it that way. I'm stuck on this. I don't even know. I can't proceed because Panthers versus Bears just came up on my screen, and my brain is just broken now. I'm like I'm trying to click neither somehow. You know, Panthers Bears. What's a better?
No. Panthers or Bears?
The Bears are 3-1, so
they're 2-2.
Oh, they're 2-2. Damn it!
Can't get that right at all.
Yeah, we can't figure that out. We were actually we were just explicitly told that a moment ago by Dustin. We couldn't remember it. We couldn't remember.
Yeah, so the Bears are 3-1, so I'm gonna go with them. I think.
I'd go
is where I'm
Bears.
going.
I think
The
I'd
Bears
go
have
Bears too, which is
At least they got a
disgusting.
competent defense, right? Like at least they've got one side of the ball that's
Even
competent.
it's such a small sample size game that like in the back of your mind you still have to say what if. So with the Bears with the competent defense, what if their offense starts throwing and doing a little bit, you know? So I'll give them the what if there. Whereas the Panthers, I feel like the Panthers are who they are going to be. They've been who they're going to be, which is a team that
who we
doesn't
say we are. A superstar. That's what they are. They're being so honest. They're just straight superstars. Guys, this next game, this is probably, Dale, you were mentioning before the show, you're interested in watching this game just because of the insane line that we've got going on. The Pittsburgh Steelers going to Buffalo to play against the Bills. The Bills are 14-point favorites at home. 14-point favorites with a 46.5-point over-under. So they're expecting the Bills to score in this one. Favored by 14 points and the over-unders at 46.5. Man, this is one of those ones where, like, I feel like the answer, we've said this on the show, I feel like the answer is to take the points, right? Like, to go with the Steelers plus 14. It seems like a bad bet to say that the Bills are going to beat them by 14 points, but I when I think about this game, all I see is the Bills winning by 2+ touchdowns. Like, I'm probably not touching this spread. Like, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I would. This is interesting. I think it's probably slightly more likely the Steelers do cover. It's 14-point spread, but I don't think it's necessarily that far off. I mean, this Bills team is so well rounded. It's truly impressive, and the Steelers have a lot of holes. So I'm just looking at PFF's matchup here, and it says 61% of cash is going on the Steelers to cover the spread. It's pretty interesting.
Suckers, dude. Because
it's a bunch of suckers.
They're probably gonna win by exactly 14. That's what's gonna happen.
If you look at the anytime touchdown score props, it's just like disrespectful to the Steelers because it is just all like there's only one player in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for an anytime touchdown score that's on the Steelers, and it's Najee Harris, and he's the fifth most likely to be an anytime touchdown scorer. They've got Stephon Diggs, Devin Singletary, Gabriel Davis, and Josh Allen, all with better odds. And then the next 4 are Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakur, Deontay Johnson, and James Cook. So of the first 9 players with like the best odds to be an anytime touchdown scorer, 8 of them are Buffalo Bills. 8 of them are Buffalo Bills. It just keeps getting worse too. Oh my God.
Yeah,
they
it's
are
like
not expecting the Steelers to score much in this game.
It's like one of those perfect storm situations where it's like not only is it a better team, but the Bills are also better at the things that the Steelers like. The Bills defense has the pieces to stop exactly what the Steelers do. Like Matt Milano is a great cover linebacker against Pat Freiermuth, right? Like the exact kind of guy to shut down a guy like that. He just held Mark Andrews to 2 catches. So like you can't bet on Muth. Right. And then they have like Trey White and all these guys. Like it's not a good spot for the Steelers. Kenny Pickett's in a whole heap of trouble.
What has better odds like for an anytime touchdown score? The Buffalo defense or Kenny Pickett after he just ran 2 in last week. So this is rushing or receiving touchdowns. It's the player who possesses the ball in the end zone, not the one who throws it.
My guess would definitely be Bills defense.
It is the Bills defense at plus 650 to Kenny Pickett at plus 800. They don't care that he ran 2 in. That wasn't against the Bills D.
I see Hal in the chat said, how are the Steelers going to score? Like, seriously, unless Najee breaks a big one, there's no way. I read that as like a fart. Unless he rips off a big one. The Bills defense should be above Najee on any time touchdown. Yeah, which is what you just brought up.
He said above Najee. The Bills defense should be above Najee. That's
above
great.
Najee. Sorry, you were talking about Dawson
Kenny
Knox.
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, yeah. But I think the point I wanted to bring up was that how are the Steelers going to score? We don't necessarily know what we're going to get from Kenny Pickett. And, I think that they could definitely, we've seen the Bills defense, as good as they are, still have broken down plays. So I totally think, I think Pickens could be an interesting play. I'm not like, if you want to throw him maybe in a DFS lineup this week, I might be interested, but I don't think in fantasy, I'm going to take the shot.
No, I'm not putting, I won't have any Steelers in any DFS lineups. There's 32 teams.
Working grind. Hal said Claypool or Wan'Dale Robinson. Claypool or Wan'Dale Robinson. Who are you starting?
Claypool.
We don't even know what Wan'Dale is or how much he's going to play. And he's a rookie. You can't start Wan'Dale.
Let's see. I saw a question there. What's the odds for a shutout? I'm trying to see if I can find some odds for a shutout in here. Man, I'm finding for specific scores, but not for like a specific shutout. If you think the Bills win 27-0, you can get that at plus 26,000 odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook. 27-0 plus 26,000. Maybe. What are you gonna do, Coop? Throw $1 on that?
Throw $1? Yeah, no. Total. You can bet on total touchdowns Bills, total touchdowns Steelers under 1.5 is plus 100. That's actually, pretty even money. So you can get, even money on betting that they only score 1 touchdown. I think that's pretty good.
Guys, about to come up right now, we've got a Bills fan and a great friend of the show. We've got Dustin about to join us. He's got something he wants to add about this Bills-Steelers game. Dustin, what's up, my friend?
Unit.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a few
you got
weeks
something
since I got
for
on
us on
Fox.
this?
Yeah, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, I think there was a little lag. You got something for us on this Bills-Steelers game?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd put some money on Kenny Pickett. I mean, Lamar Jackson rushed 11 times for 73 yards against the Bills last week. So Kenny Pickett's got some wheels. So there's a chance.
Interesting.
Coming from a Bill, that was not what I expected the words out of your mouth to be, Dustin. Whenever I saw you come over here, I was like, "Oh, we are getting a smash." There we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
We're gonna dominate them like no one's ever been dominated before.
Oh boy!
But you think that Kenny Pickett running for his life might accidentally stumble into the end zone at some point?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
For a long shot bet, it's worth it.
Good take.
Okay. Sprinkle it on there.
And
like
Tommy in here saying
Sprinkle some on there.
Put up some good fantasy points despite picks. And then Hal saying the over on rush yards for Pickett as well. Yeah, Dustin, I think that that falls into what you're saying. I like that way of thinking about it. I hadn't considered that. And I feel like we see that from rookie quarterbacks as well, right? They're more likely to kind of just take off, right? If the play breaks down, if their first read isn't there, they're more likely to
close to the offensive line most of the game. So he's going to be running for his life.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be positive for Mr. Kenny Pickett. Dustin, what do you think the score of this game is going to be? Are the Bills going to beat them by more than 14? Are they going to cover that spread?
Oh, fear that the Bills get up by 14 and then just run the clock out and do a lot more running than they're used to. So I think they'll beat it by 14, but it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be 17. Would be my guess.
17. So you're taking the over?
Or no, taking
take
the
the
points over there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would take them not to cover.
That is this one terrifies me. That line absolutely terrifies me. I think I'm going to roll with just like player props in this one. The line and the total absolutely scares me. I can't quite see how this game is going to go, but I do like the Kenny Pickett and what you're talking about. I like Devin Singletary rush yards as well.
Oh yeah, I think they're just going to put up rushing yards, and I think it's a game where the Bills don't need to score 35. I think they can get by points and still win, so they don't need to be airing it out all the time, which has been their MO even when they're up. But there's no fear from the Pittsburgh offense at all right now. Come out the gate swinging. They're going to come out, run the ball, get that run game established early, and then get a decent lead and just eat up clock.
I don't think they need to score 10 points to win this game, if we're being honest. I think we could see them win this one with 10. Maybe just count the first quarter's worth of points, and they might be able to win this game.
I think we have too much Thursday night football on our brain.
Yeah, they may come out
right now.
First drive, so.
Absolutely. Dustin, I want to thank you so much for coming up here and hanging out with us for a bit today, my man. Appreciate you.
Cheers, brother.
Peace.
See you guys.
And the hot tip on the Kenny Pickett anytime touchdown score. You know what? I didn't think about it like that, but Dustin brings up a good point. I kind of like that one. I like that one a little bit. Anything else on this game, guys? Any other players you're starting? Somebody asked me this question yesterday before we move on. James Cook on that Buffalo team. Is he droppable? Like if you have James Cook on your team, are you dropping James Cook at this point, rookie running back for the Buffalo Bills?
Obviously not in Dynasty, but in redraft, I think he's got to be towards the very bottom of your bench. And if there's somebody out there that you would actually use within the next couple of weeks with bye weeks, I would definitely drop him and pick him up. I mean, he's not really playing that much.
No, he was on the field for 3% of snaps last week.
Two snaps. 3%. That's two. That's two whole snaps.
Yeah, you're right.
Meanwhile, Devin Singletary leading the league in routes run of all running backs.
Of course, yeah, just like we all predicted. That makes a lot of sense.
I think he's absolutely droppable in redraft. Yeah.
Absolutely droppable. Man, I know people were excited about him. We had a question in the chat. Well, not a question, just some condolences, wishing for condolences from Tyson. He said, can we get an RIP for me as I had to start Hines in my 20 team? My 20 team has so much promise.
MFMP.
Listen to my injuries. JT, Hines, Kamara, Montgomery, Julio, Jacoby Myers, and in a 20-team league. This is detrimental as depth is fatal. Yeah, that's pretty rough. That is rough.
Super rough. That is very rough and unfortunate. And that's just unfortunately how fantasy goes sometimes. You got this, Tyson. Hang in there.
Hang in there, my man. Also, we didn't talk about it much at the beginning, but hopefully Nyheim Hines is okay.
Yeah.
That was another one of those scary hits. Like you hate seeing that. And it looked like he was on his way to making me look so stupid for not starting him. He played 3 snaps. And on those 3 snaps, he had 1 carry and 2 targets, right? Like he was going to be a focal point of this offense last night. And he was going to make me look dumb for all the people that I said not to start him. So I'm sad we didn't get to end up seeing that. Hopefully he's all right. We'll keep our eyes on it. And Tommy said, thought I was money with Lindsay. It turns out there's a reason Philip Lindsay was on the practice squad. He wasn't that good. Tyson asking, we talked about this a little bit at the top. What do you guys think of Wilson missing Hamler wide open on the slant play last night? Not sure if you guys have talked about this. Coop, you wanna give a quick recap on what you thought about that?
Oh yeah. So for me, like I did play some quarterback, and there is on most plays a progression, an order that you look at the different targets, because each play typically has a short route, an intermediate route, then a deep route. And you have to look at the short one first, and then the next one, then the next one. He was going through his progressions. It's just, anyone can take the overhead screenshot and say this guy was open, but you have to look at them in order, or you're going to miss those individual windows. It just, in my opinion, I think that, it's just, that's the way the reads went, the order went. And that was a later read in the progressions, and it's not there. So it's easier for us to sit back and do that. We don't have to be on the field with, 300-pound guys like swirling around trying to kill us,
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with you on that one. Guys, before we move on to our next game, there was something we needed to talk about that happened on the show yesterday, something we need to bring up. Our friend Mike Barner came on yesterday, gave us some hot tips, right? And the very first hot tip he threw out there, he said, Matt Ryan, interception, lock it in. It's a lock for tonight. And boom, did I yell. My soup was all over the floor whenever that interception hit.
Soup was everywhere.
What kind of soup did you spill, JL?
Cream of crab.
Cream of crab all over everything in your bed?
Everything.
In your toes?
All in my toes. I'm vegetarian, so I can't even eat it.
You can't even lick it off your own toes. What a shame.
Yeah, I know, but dude, if you were listening yesterday and you were like, hey, I'm going to put some money down, you made some cash. You made some quiche.
Tommy requested a new segment, Soup with Coop. New segment.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was pretty down the middle on the soup take. My soup take was actually pretty lukewarm. Where I kind of side with both sides there. So I think I could moderate that as a pretty unbiased soup enthusiast.
Because coming up right after this, we've got our friend Vinny Iyer coming back, joining the show to talk a little bit about these Sunday night games and maybe a little bit about the game we saw last night as well. We'll be giving you some of our favorite DFS plays, continue breaking down the Sunday slate, and then Patrick Creighton is joining the show a little bit later as well. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Sports talk done better.
Coop, we did have a question for you. Get into Game wants to ask if you could create an all tight end team. Like, who would be your top tight ends? Like your favorite guys that you would put on your all tight end team?
Or does he want me to do an all tight end team where I fill out all the positions? Because I could do that.
That could
too.
work as well. Yeah, you want to do that?
So a wide receiver 1, split end would be Kyle Pitts.
Checks out. I knew you were going to say Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Now on the other side, I would have Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
At the actual tight end slot, inline tight end, I'd have Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
In the slot, I would have Tony Gonzalez, who under Chan Gailey for the Chiefs back in mid 2010s, he led the league in routes run from the slot. Now at quarterback, I would have Logan Thomas, a converted quarterback that now plays tight end. Right at running back, give me Jonnu Smith, a guy that has multiple rushing touchdowns. He could bring it up and down the field. At left tackle, give me Michael Pruitt, one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league. At right tackle, give me Nick Boyle.
You've done this all off the top of your head?
Of course. At guard, we're going to fill out the line with the best blocking tight ends that I can think of. So actually at center, give me a guy that's been a captain on a team because you need a strong, smart player at center. Give me Mercedes Lewis, a guy that's been in the league for a long time, one of the premier blockers. At guard, you're gonna want a little speed, a little heft. So I'll take a current guy, Albert Akwe-Bunam. I'll put him 6'6", 260, put him at left guard, have him do some swing routes, have him run around. At right guard, I'll take give me Jason Witten. Just give me a big monster to throw in.
Get him out of the booth.
Throw down the run blocking. And
can we put this in like a graphic?
As my fullback, move tight end, I'm going to go with a guy that's played a bunch of fullback. He's played a bunch of move tight end. Very underrated. Give me Chris Cooley, former Redskins tight end, move tight end, Chris Cooley. So that would be my all-time tight end offense. If you need
Now radio personality.
I am
in the DMB.
I am so impressed. Not just like you didn't just pull out those names and you didn't stop after the positional guys. You said we're talking O-line here too, because that's an important part of the offense. Coop, I could not put together a better all tight end team right now.
Now put
a
full depth chart together.
You'd be insane to do it.
Punter.
I feel like a maniac just having done that.
Who's the punter and who's kicking field goals?
Punter easily is going to be Algie Crumpler, because right off the top
Best
of my
name
head,
I've ever heard.
kind of sounds like punter. Seems like he could boot the ball.
Crumpler the punter.
Crumpler punter. And then for kicker, we just want to have as many all-time greats on the roster. So give me Antonio Gates.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. Joining us right now, we've got one of our favorite people, returning guest, Vinny Ayers, coming up here. For those of you that do not know Vinny, come on. He's an NFL and fantasy football writer over at Sporting News and the host on the Locked On Fantasy Network, talking fantasy football, and a Jeopardy winner, which scores major props in our book over here. Let's welcome Vinny to the stage and maybe ask him some questions about this game we saw last night, what we can pull from it.
Hey, guys.
Vinny, my
morning.
man.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Glad
How's
to
it
have
going,
you
guys?
here.
Vinny.
I'm trying to operate here on little hours of sleep after watching. I had to watch the whole game, write about it for Sporting News. So
You were up so awake with so much excitement you couldn't sleep.
yeah, but I was excited to write about how bad Russell Wilson was. So
That was the first thing I wanted to ask you about, Vinny, was that article. There was a line at the end of it that I loved. That article that you put out. What was it? I haven't pulled. Oh, the Broncos got their wish to let Russ cook for them, but they need to accept the fact that they got burned and there's no easy way to put out the fire. Boom! Dropping that hot on a Friday morning, Vinny. I like that. So it sounds like you're concerned about this, like, long term, not just this first 5-game sample size for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the first few games, and we were like, Nathaniel Hackett doesn't know what he's doing, and that still may be the case to some degree. But I think he's trying to get into like Russ's head to try to figure out what Russ wants to do, and this has been difficult. I mean, that's why you can't have a situation where you let the quarterback dictate how things are going here. I mean, you need to have a relationship. We've seen it with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. It works really well, right? And they are on the same page for most of the time. And we've seen it with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And then you see it with Justin Herbert now and Joe Lombardi. If you don't have that with your play caller, it's going to be a mess. And that's what we're seeing. And maybe Russell Wilson, just like a little bit of Carson Wentz syndrome, he likes to play a little bit outside the box and not within an offense. And that's very frustrating for a coach. And I bet the Broncos defense is pretty frustrated at this point. To be 2-3 with that level of defense is pretty bad.
JL's muted.
JL,
Yes.
Classic JL moment.
Butts.
What were you saying, bud?
It's all Keith's fault. Keith wins $700, and he just feels like he can mute me at will.
When are we getting those hog noses? We got them.
We got them. What was I saying? Oh, I said the defense looked fantastic, man. That edge rush was so good. Did you guys see that one? I think it was Browning had that one like perfectly timed sack.
It was sexy. It was
so nice.
It looked like he cheated. You know what I mean? Like he got through there so clean. It was like it looked like he had to have been offsides with just how untouched he was getting back there to Matt Ryan.
Chubb looked fantastic.
Chubb always looks fantastic though, doesn't he? Like he's out there and we're like, yeah, there's Chubb doing Chubb things. But you're right. Like with a defense that good, for them to not win that game, that's Russell Wilson. That's Russell Wilson that they didn't win that game whenever the defense held the Colts to 6 points in regulation. Like you've got Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Melvin Gordon. Like this should be a team that can score more than 9 points.
Yeah, it's difficult now. I mean, they lost some guys on defense. I mean, they already lost Randy Gregory. Justin Simmons was on IR, so some more injuries. Browning had to come out of that game late. So if that starts to fall apart, now we know their offensive line is going to be in bad shape. But I think they just said it was a broken leg for Garrett Bowles. I mean, that's brutal. I mean, after last week running down Meek Robertson there on the interception and going viral and giving all his effort for this team. After Melvin Gordon fumbled, by the way, like he had to go and try to clean it up and stop the Raiders from getting in the end zone. And then this next week he goes down. You got to feel for the guy. I mean, he was one of the guys playing at a really high level on that offense, and he has been for a couple of years. He was a borderline bust a few years ago, but then he was second team All-Pro in 2020. And that's going to be hard, not having the left tackle out there for Russ at this point with him holding the ball. I don't know how it gets better. And I think they talked about a little bit there on the broadcast, and I also thought about it, but Tim Patrick was a pretty big loss for this team because he was that third receiver, and he was actually more consistent in a lot of ways than Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. Like, he's a guy that you could get out there, and he was going to get open, turn around, make those tough catches when you need it. Now you don't have him. KJ Hamler's okay, but he's just a field stretching guy. Montrell Washington, I think they need to give him more opportunities here. But also, what happened to the tight ends? We heard about Albert O, and then Greg Dulcich, I know, has been hurt, but let's get those guys involved if you can't get things down the field. So I think Russ is just trying to be Russ, trying to buy time, throw downfield. He doesn't want to run the way he once did. So you got to do something to help your team win games. And I think Kyler Murray is having this same issue too. It's like, you got to just do what you can do well physically. Like, just do it. And don't try to be someone you're not. And that's what you're happening with Russell Wilson.
I think Hackett had big plans for Tim Patrick. I think he was going to be in that Alan Lazard role where he's plays close to the line of scrimmage. Even Lazard actually played 60-something snaps in line last year, which is not even far off from Mike Gesicki. So I think that's what Patrick probably was going to be since he's out. I mean, maybe when Greg Dulcich comes back, he'll be in that type of role, and maybe they'll be able to revive that a little bit. But I think that's kind of what's going on. I mean, I feel like you can kind of tell that with the line struggling, they're leaning into these big clunky tight ends named Eric, both of them, Eric Saubert and Eric Tomlinson, rather than going with, the pass catching guys. So not great for production to have guys out there that you don't believe in catching the football.
There were 4 different tight ends that got targets in that game. You mentioned the 2 Erics, then we had Albert Aquabunum, and then we also had Andrew Beck get that. Andrew Beck should have had a touchdown, is what Andrew Beck should have had. We should have been talking about.
He's like a tight end fullback hybrid. Andrew Beck is. He's like a Ethan Carter. I don't know. Some places have him listed as a fullback, but I don't know. Maybe I guess he's a tight end.
They got him listed as a tight end on ESPN, but yeah, he definitely should have had a touchdown on that one. You brought up Washington, and I just wanted to talk about that play for a second because I was sitting there watching the play where Washington and Sutton both caught the ball. They caught the ball at the same time. Truly, both of them had 2 hands on it, and then they lay down on the ground and they just start fighting over the ball. Whenever they show the replay, they're fighting to see who has it.
Dude, he totally scooped him.
Right? Am I wrong for thinking Courtland Sutton stole that catch?
No, 100%. He saw that. He knew what he was doing and went in and just scooped his own boy.
Yeah, he was probably like, Russ is not going to get me a lot more balls here. I need this one. One. He's going to miss me a lot in the game.
Let me boost my stats and let me just take it from
I need this for my fantasy managers. I need this badly. They need me to squeeze out 70 yards without a touchdown tonight. So, but the guy that really impressed me, wearing 14 on the other side, I like Alec Pierce a lot, out of Cincinnati. I think they can use him even more. And if Matt Ryan had a big arm, this kid would be stretching the field and making some big plays. I think this is a legit talent. So I can't wait to see what the Colts do at quarterback, because once they get a guy with Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce that can stretch the field, playing off that running game, and maybe it might be Matt Ryan later this year if the offensive line can be fixed and Taylor comes back. But they need to unlock Alec Pierce a little bit more, and we saw that last night. I mean, he was making big play after big play. They don't win that game without him on those field goal drives.
Yeah, he was looking great, leading receiver on that team last night. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 81 yards, and I'll admit, I didn't think it was going to be an Alec Pierce game. I think we called him a log yesterday. All of us agreed, and he came out there and showed up, performed, looked pretty good. And we had a question from Tyson about this exact thing in our chat. He said, is Alec Pierce a waiver wire target? I have him in my 20-team league, and he's been a big part of the offense the last 2 weeks. Is he worth picking up in a 12-team league? So is that someone who should be rostered in 12-team leagues, you think, Vinny?
I think at this point, look at it. I mean, what did they do last night? They also pivoted away from using those 3 tight ends a little bit more. And then Nyheim Hines, I'm not sure when he's going to play him, but he was not being factored in the passing game as much as we thought, even when he was healthy. So you have the concussion. I mean, Taylor could come back, but again, that could actually help Pierce downfield and create some matchups where you can maybe not get the same safety help over the top in certain games because they won't be looking to stop Jonathan Taylor. They weren't doing that last night, but Alec Pierce is the number one thing, again, in fantasy football. We do all these numbers and breakdowns and everything, but talent is the number one thing. And Alec Pierce has tons of talent. And I think the Colts are finally realizing that. And it takes a while, unfortunately, for Frank Reich to realize that. But he also missed a game there with a concussion, so that kind of slowed his progress. I think they realized, okay, we got to go forward with this guy, get him more snaps than Paris Campbell.
I'll tell you right now, dude. Yeah, Paris Campbell playing 92% of the snaps. The craziest part of that for me, he had another one of his classic 2 catches for 22-yard games. We're start calling that line the Paris Campbell, right? And the thing that really was stuck out to me watching the entire game was that there was a huddle down by the goal line in the 4th quarter, and I'm looking around and everybody's covered in grass, and Paris Campbell looked like he just got off the bus. Not a stain on the guy. I was like, what is this guy is not even part of the game. So it's time to make that swap. Paris Campbell should be playing 60% of the snaps like Alec Pierce is right now, and Pierce should be playing 90. Flip it around, dude. It's over. The experiment is over.
Yeah, I think you'll see that next week for sure. Yeah. I mean, they'll reevaluate some things here going in after this mini bye. And okay, we got to get this guy more. He's going to be a little bit more into the offense. You'll get Pittman a little healthier, which is always going to help him because Pittman's always going to see Pat Surtain 2 or the top corner on the other team, and that's going to open up things for Alec Pierce. And there's not a lot of number 2 and number 3 corners that can handle a player of that size and speed.
The thing that hurts about the Paris Campbell pick is that Paris Campbell went to Ohio State, played at the same time as Terry McLaurin, was the same class as Terry McLaurin, and they could have picked either one of those dudes, and they picked Paris Campbell before Terry McLaurin. Imagine this offense with Terry McLaurin instead of Paris Campbell.
Dude, it'd be different.
It would be different for sure. There'd be at least one different guy on the field at a minimum to start things off with.
Probably still have Carson Wentz here, dude, because he would have had people to throw to.
I don't know. Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin hasn't looked great.
Andy Isabella ahead of DK Metcalf. That's another story.
Yeah. Yikes. Anytime you can get a tiny little white dude from UMass, you gotta do it. You gotta do that, dude.
Isn't he a Cleveland guy? Because I feel like all my Cleveland relatives are super hyped about him going into the league. Isn't he from Cleveland, Ohio, or am I having
He is. He's from Mayfield, Ohio.
Okay,
Mayfield.
Yeah, so that's right near he's a local kid to all my Cleveland family, and they were so hyped for him going into the league, and they made me buy in a little bit. I was like, okay, I can buy in, and nothing, just absolutely nothing. Poop squat diddly. I'm never cheering for anyone from Cleveland ever again.
Can't do it. Sorry, Kareem Hunt.
Sorry,
LeBron James.
Also, Hal in here saying Murray can't have wide receivers bigger than him. That's in his contract, apparently. So that's why they drafted Andy Isabella that year. They couldn't have any wide receivers bigger than Kyler Murray.
It's not fair that Rondale Moore has to play against all these dudes who are just so much bigger and stronger. That's not fair. They should have their own league.
They should have their own league. Matt Ryan last night. We talked about his offensive line. I feel like Matt Ryan's known for being cool and calm, and he's known for being level-headed at all times during games. That's what I think of when I think of Matt Ryan. I have not seen that level of anger and emotion from him in my memory, watching football. He was mad. He was on the sideline cursing, punching the bench. That dude,
he's
and I get
that
it
every time he loses. Single time. Yeah. I feel like that's just standard. I tweeted about it last night. I was I feel like Matt Ryan is the guy that blames everybody, just never takes responsibility when things go wrong. He's just fully like always blaming his teammates for when the play goes badly.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, I've had a chance to talk to him quite a bit, and really when I used to go down to Atlanta quite a bit to cover the Falcons games for Sporting News, when the Falcons were really good, and they got to big playoff moments and got to that Super Bowl when he was the MVP. But when you look at Matt Ryan, I mean, he's actually a little bit of a misunderstood dude. Like, he actually is very appreciated by his teammates. I think they like his fire a little bit. And I think some people look at him as kind of clean cut, the pretty boy type, right? Like, he's buddies with Matthew Stafford. He seems like the Boston College, a little preppy guy, but deep down, you know that guy's a little bit Philly adjacent tough. That's what you know. That's what he is. I mean, if you break it down, I mean, this is a guy that a lot of people didn't recruit big time. And I think you have a little bit of that with Joe Flacco, that both of them knew in the same draft class that people were dumping on them, and they had to grind to get that first round pick. And I've always said this about quarterbacks, the ones that grind and don't have everything handed to them and they got to work a little bit more, they have that little extra edge. And Matt Ryan could have easily given up in that game, right? He was battered. This offensive line wasn't helping him. He was making bad decisions. What did he do? He hung in there. Okay, I'm going to get this opportunity I didn't think I was going to get to move the ball down the field, get a field goal. Then we got the ball in overtime, moved the ball down the field again. I mean, that was a pretty incredible performance. I think it was a bit underrated. I mean, you take 6 sacks, you have those ugly interceptions, and then you finish the game while Russ is like missing wide open guys and throwing on 3rd and 4 when he can run out the clock. So, I mean, I think Matt Ryan is one of those underappreciated quarterbacks of our time when we look back and say, this guy's career was pretty darn good. Is he great? No, but there are some numbers, and he wasn't MVP for any reason here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he was great that year. Quarterback 2 in fantasy, MVP of the league. That team should have. I mean, he probably should have won the Super Bowl, right? Like he got to it. How many guys have gotten to within the point where the odds say what 98% or 99% chance you're going to win the game? 28-3, like brutal set of circumstances.
Yeah, it's funny to me because Matthew Stafford gets to a Super Bowl and he wins it, and he's got one Pro Bowl alternate on his resume. I mean, that's really hard to have one Pro Bowl alternate. I mean, Mac Jones can get to the Pro Bowl in his first year for mediocre caretaker play. I mean, you should be able to get to more Pro Bowls when you throw for 4,000 to 5,000 yards every year. I mean, it just blows me away. But like, you look at Matt Ryan, if he had won that Super Bowl and you look at his resume, he's got MVP, he's been to the Pro Bowl several times, he's got a higher pass rating, he's won a ton of games in relation to Matthew Stafford, then you're like, okay, then maybe Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer more than Stafford. So it's an interesting debate here. I don't know if Ryan's going to get there. I think the perception's a little shaky, but I think if you peel back and maybe after some time and you look at his career, so this is pretty good. He was pretty good with all these other guys. Able to win MVP in that run when he had Rodgers and Brady and all that, it's pretty impressive still.
Yeah, I think Stafford, there was one season where he had in pretty much 90% of the other seasons, he would have been the MVP, right? I think it was like 2011 where he threw for like 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. But like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers both did the same thing with like less touchdowns. I think with less interceptions. I think Aaron Rodgers won that year because he threw like no interceptions and did the same thing. So it's like, luck of the draw sometimes, really. Like
Aaron Rodgers' interception statistics over the past 3 to 4 years are absolutely absurd if you go look at them. Like just truly absurd.
Yeah, and I think we've diminished the interceptions a little bit, being a key stat. But we'll use the interceptions when it's to say someone's bad. But if someone's good, we'll it's okay. You threw 17 interceptions last year, no big deal. Like
Matt Stafford, perfect example, right? He led the league in interceptions last year, did he not?
And people were like, okay,
tied with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, and who would you think is going to have a better career overall when you're looking at Trevor Lawrence or Matthew Stafford? I mean, Trevor is on his way here, but yeah, you look at it, it's weird, but I think, again, everything is magnified on Thursday night. I mean, these quarterbacks weren't all that great, but I'd say Matt Ryan did more with less, and Russ squandered a lot on the field yesterday based on that matchup, and that's how you have to look at it. And I see at this point, I mean, he had one good game. I liked him. The Raiders' defense was terrible, so I liked him last week, and he came through, but it was still not fun to watch, right? He had to get a rushing touchdown. He had to get 237 yards or whatever he got. It was hard and painful to watch. So I'm not sure. I think if you got Russ, I mean, you just had to play the matchups maybe and stream some other guys.
For sure.
Man, what a fall. I feel like there were circles. He was being viewed as like a near top 5 guy, like definitely a top 10 guy going into this season. And now we're just sitting here thinking, do we drop Russ? Like, do I pick up Trevor Lawrence off the waiver wire instead of Russell Wilson week in, week out? Like, if you had to start one guy every week the rest of the season, you going with Trevor Lawrence or Russell Wilson? You got to lock it in today.
Yeah, I think you have to go with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the weapons are much better than we expect, and they're going to get better. I mean, we know that. I mean, Christian Kirk has looked fantastic. I think they'll get Evan Ingram more involved. Zay Jones should come back maybe this week. And Jamal Agnew, sneaky weapon. Travis Etienne, they're going to get him going a little bit more as well. So Marvin Jones is always there. They have a great matchup this week against the Texans. So you look at that. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, the talent is there. I mean, again, it comes back down to talent. Like, it's going to rise to the top no matter what. And you also have to have the coaching. We get it. But you have somewhat competent coaching, and that player is willing. And you got to credit Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that was a rough rookie season, but
absolutely
come back and get a competent coaching staff and say, okay, I'm going to make it work this season. And that Jaguars offensive line has also played really well this season. So I do really like the Jaguars upside. I think there are going to be some games where they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit, like we saw. And it was a good sign that they also put up the big numbers against the Chargers where they were blowing them out, and you still had big games from everyone. So I think this is a terrific game for everything Jaguars related this week. So get them in. I think the Texans are in free fall at this point.
I'm with you. We had some questions in the chat, Vinny, that I was hoping you could help us answer.
Yeah, sure.
Nick came in here and asked us Hill for Kelsey straight up. So in a trade, Tyreek Hill for Travis Kelsey, would you be making that trade, or which side of that would you want?
Well, I would examine what I have at wide receiver and tight end. That's the biggest thing. If you've got garbage at tight end and you can manage with your third receiver, I mean, looking at it, I think it's more of a lateral move than you would think with Tyreek and Travis Kelsey, because you're going to upgrade at one position majorly, no-brainer start every week, where Tyreek is going to be good, but he's going to have up and down weeks, where Kelsey, what I love about Kelsey, other than Cooper Kupp, he's the most consistent guy in fantasy. You just put him out there, you know what you're going to get. His bad game is still pretty good. So, but we know Tyreek Hill can put up a 2 for 33 or 2 for 40, and you're going to have that. But that's not going to happen with Kelsey very often.
No, maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment, but I feel like some of my favorite players are these guys that like can go off for 60, but also can have the 2 for 33s. Like there's like that rush
Marquise
of having
Brown.
Of having Marquise Brown, Tyreek Hill in my lineup. Like it's like, oh man, this could be so good or so bad.
You have an Amari Cooper jersey behind you. So we know exactly what kind of player you like. Yeah.
DJ Moore.
Right. Yeah. That exact type of player.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite kinds of players. Coop, what do you think on this one? Kelsey or Hill?
Vinny laid it out perfectly. You got to look at what you have going on and whether the positional scarcity is worth it. Because in a like, put it this way: if you had Mark Andrews, then you're deciding who's going to go in your flex, and that's going to be Tyreek Hill every single time. So you have to decide for yourself if the positional scarcity is worth it. Look around the league, look at the top teams, right? Because sometimes I tell people this all the time, that the dudes that come in third place every year in your league are those guys that just hit the nail on the head with their running backs and wide receivers, and then they just coast with mediocre quarterback and mediocre tight end, and they win a bunch of games, and then they get to the playoffs, and all the teams in the playoffs are good at every position, and their team is bad at the positions they neglected. So if you look around and you think you're a tight end away and you're confident in the rest of your team, then do that and be loaded at every position, because that's the team that wins, the team that's loaded at all the positions.
Yeah. We had another question in here from Sleepy Refresh. He wanted to know Michael Thomas for Kareem Hunt and Kyle Pitts. Vinny, would you be making that trade, sending away Michael Thomas, getting Hunt and Pitts?
I would take that shot because, I mean, I would do it for Hunt straight up, to be honest with you. Like at this point with Michael Thomas and the foot injury, like at least Kareem Hunt, you're getting a flex play. I think he's going to be more involved. And this Browns offense has been terrific running the ball, and you run the ball at that high level. Nick Chubb is smashing it, but Kareem Hunt's going to get part of that as well as we go forward. And I think it's only going to get better when you get Deshaun Watson back later in the year, their playoff time and all that. So that's something you could look at there. So I'm doing that. And Kyle Pitts, it doesn't look like he's going to play with a hamstring injury this week, but I think he's going to get going. And keep in mind, he was terrible in this part of his rookie season last year too. He got going. What do we want, though, is get him into the end zone. I don't care if it's 2 for 20 or whatnot. Like, warm him up by getting him in the end zone, and then we can get to the 6 for 70 and that kind of stuff. But get this guy the ball in the red zone, and maybe Desmond Ridder will do it for us at some point.
He's got to step up his ability in versus man to man, because that's where he's been struggling. He had 6 targets in the end zone last year. He only caught 1 of them.
Maybe just keep him at tight end, and try this hybrid stuff. Sometimes is a little too much. Like, I know they're worried about his blocking. This is a run first, run heavy team, and all that kind of stuff. But I think he might need Ridder at this point. I thought Mariota was going to actually help him at tight end because Mariota loves the tight end, but he's just been bad, and I think he's going to get worse here.
Vinny, the thing is that I think that really would open up this offense. And sometimes, like, these coaches, they love these blocking tight ends. But if you have a blocking tight end like a Parker Hesse that is 0 threat to catch the ball, you got to understand that the defense knows that you have 5 ineligible linemen and you have 6 guys that can make plays. If one of those dudes is this Parker guy, then they only have to worry about 5 guys. You know what I mean? It's like the Patriots did it 2 years ago when they were terrible. They had Ryan Izzo on the field every play. They had Jakob Johnson on the field every play. And then we're wondering why Jameer Byrd can't make a play, right? It's like when the defense only knows they only need to cover 3 guys, it makes it that much easier for them. So I'm fully on board with you. Like, you don't have to line them up at tight end every play, but get these non-players out of the game. Get them off the field, dude.
Parker Hesse, I mean, he should not have almost the same fantasy football relevance in a game as Kyle Pitts, but that's what happened last week.
And the thing is, like, you're completely telegraphing what you're doing. Parker Hesse last week played 48 snaps. He only ran 7 routes. The defense literally can just stand there and be like, 46 is in the game. It's a run. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. Like, mix it up, dude. Get that guy out.
We also need to get the Falcons in negative game scripts. We don't like it when they rush for 202 yards because that's not good. That means they win the game. They don't throw the ball at all. And they're going to, if they can run and win, they're not going to throw at all. I mean, that's the bottom line. So this week, Mariota is going to have to throw, but unfortunately, I think that hamstring, 2 missed practices probably doesn't look good for Pitts. So I don't know if I would go and pick up Parker Hesse this week. I don't know.
Pick up Anthony Ferguson if you want anybody. He played like 2 snaps. He played like 14 snaps, but he ran just as many routes as Parker Hesse. So
what's going to happen? Hesse scoring, and then look, I got the tight end involved this week.
We put it into the ethos just now. You and I just dragging Parker Hesse. Yeah, he's probably gonna have 2 touchdowns, dude. And then
we'll take a Hesse or Ferk for a touchdown. One of those things is happening this week.
Give me that Ferk dad in the house, baby. Let's go.
I wonder what the odds are for a Hesse touchdown in this game. If they even have that for an anytime touchdown score. I'm gonna pull that up, see if we can get that over there.
Plus $1 billion, dude. Like, they're just just take your money. Put it in an envelope.
They got him at plus 410. It's not even that. Plus 410 for Parker Hesse anytime touchdown score.
If you want to bet on that, take your money, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and then put it into a shredder.
A micro cut shredder.
Waste the stamp too.
Yeah, waste the stamp too. Yeah, you might as well.
Send it. I thought you were going to say send it to a sketchy website on the internet to buy Pokemon cards instead of doing that. Vinny, before we get to this next question, I just wanted to shout something out. I just realized it. You have one of my favorite logos of all time on your hat. The old school Northwestern mascot is one of my absolute favorites. Is that what you got going on up there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, this is the hat I got recently. And above me is Willie the Wildcat and myself. That's that bobblehead. Is my friend made a terrible bobblehead for my birthday.
It's a bobblehead of you up there.
This I kind of like old school Northwestern football because the new school is not very good right now. So throwing it back and then throw it back to the Northwestern Notre Dame. We're a Northwestern Notre Dame house divided family. So.
Nice.
I'm looking at them on Google Images right now, and there's about 15 different old school Northwestern logos that are amazing.
He's got to be the Fighting Methodist too, so I'm sure there's some.
What did you say? You were the Fighting Methodists?
Yeah, at some point.
I think I used to live with one of those in college. Vinny, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today, and everybody watching. I got great news. Vinny's going to be here every Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time hanging out with us. So, Vinny, we're saying goodbye for now, but we'll get to hang out with you a little bit more next Friday. Really appreciate you taking the time coming up and hanging out with us and talking some football.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Hey. Guys, if you're not already following our friend Vinny, go and follow him on Twitter right now at Vinny Iyer. That is VINNIEIYER. Give that man a follow. Vinny, enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck this weekend with your fantasy matchups.
Yeah, thanks, you guys, too.
Of course. We'll see you later, Vinny.
Appreciate you, Vinny.
Man, I'm going to say it every time. Great guy. God, just such a great guy. Yeah. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some hypothetically, give you some DFS plays for this week. And then Patrick Creighton, ESPN host of Late Hits, is joining the show a little bit later as well. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Burley picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the imposing pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the Bears is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the bank, and you're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downing, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to run through our DFS core lineup for this week. And if you were listening last week, you got some hot tips. You got the Geno Smith and DK Metcalf stack from me. You got the TJ Hawkinson tight end play from Coop. And you started a running back. You started a running back as well in that lineup. It was a guy. He did something out there. But, Jail, you're going to kill it this week. I know you got a running back
back
for us with our DFS picks. JL, you want to kick us off? You want to start us off with your running back pick? Because I got a feeling this week's is hot. It's going to
tone. Set the tone, JL.
You do feel like it's going to be hot?
Oh, I feel like it's going to be so hot. I haven't even looked at who you picked yet.
All right, my running back for this week is Dalvin Cook, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, going against Chicago, one of the easiest run defenses. Price on FanDuel, 7,300. 7,300. Alexander Madison's price on FanDuel, 7,300. Dalvin Cook's value this week.
Those tricksters, dude. They do that every once in a while.
Tricksters.
Yeah, when somebody's like, they don't want you getting that scoop. They don't want anybody being too chalky. And if Dalvin Cook didn't play for whatever reason, then Madison would have been too chalky. So nice move.
Coop, yeah. Who do you got for us at tight end this week? We got Dalvin Cook. Who are you putting in at tight end?
Yeah, so this is a main slate lineup. This is actually a super fun week for tight ends because, it's so easy to just say, oh, well, there's two good tight ends, so pay up and get one of those guys. Or, Darren Waller, I guess you could throw in there too. Well, Darren Waller plays against Kelsey in primetime, and Mark Andrews is also primetime. So you don't get those options on this slate. You really have to actually think about it for a little bit. And if you really want the scoops, I got 6 players for you over on Fantasy Alarm. I do players at each tier every week, but I didn't even do in the elite tier. I said, no elite tier. You don't want to start any of these guys. There's only one guy over 5,000. It's George Kittle. Can't really trust him. So I got a good number of guys down in the next section, but one guy that I think you want to get in there this week is Zach Ertz. I think that's going to be the shootout game, right? I don't like pairing him with, you could stack him with Kyler Murray if you want, but I think that you can go with Ertz in this game. And this is one of probably the last few times you're going to be able to start Ertz because DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. You're not going to feel as good about it unless his price comes down. But, with AJ Green's questionable, Rondale Moore didn't really do much in his first game back. Marquise Brown, he can only get 17 targets so many times, right? So Zach Ertz right now is the preeminent end zone option. And this Eagles team, they have 2 good corners on the outside in James Bradbury and Darius Slay that kind of funnels the ball over the middle. I think we're in line for a big Ertz game, and he's not that expensive. Under 5,000, obviously. I think he's like 4,700 or so on DraftKings. I don't know what he's on FanDuel.
5,900 on FanDuel for Zach Ertz, which is underpriced compared to some of these other players over there. You're seeing TJ Hawkinson up there at 7,000 in this.
He's chasing last week's points. That's always such a smart move.
Yeah, that's always the move, right?
Whoever scored 2 touchdowns last week, right?
That's Howard, week 2, killed it. Absolutely killed it. Taysom Hill, week 2, killed it.
Killed.
Coop,
yeah.
I'm with you.
Who is it this week that scored 2? Mo Alley Cox. Get him in there.
Get him in there. Coop, I'm with you on that game being the shootout. I think that is the shootout. And what I'm going to do with the quarterback wide receiver stack, last week I gave you a budget one. Dino Smith was one of the cheaper quarterback options. DK Metcalf, not necessarily a cheaper wide receiver, but wasn't near the top of that list. I'm spending up this week. I'm going high to get in this shootout on the team that I think is going to score more points. And I'm taking Jalen Hurts, who's the second highest quarterback salary-wise after Josh Allen on FanDuel, and pairing him with A.J. Brown, his top receiver. I just want Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown in a game that I expect to be the highest scoring game of the week. I want the best quarterback and best wide receiver in this game in my FanDuel lineup.
It worked for us last week, right? We stacked Geno with Metcalf in the same game as Hawkinson. That was the shootout. So, I mean, why mess with success, right? Let's do the same thing this week. Get some cash.
And Dalvin Cook's going to kill it. That's going to be the difference this week. It's going to be a solid lineup. This is the core. This is the week we all nail it. Now, what's going to happen is we're gonna swap back and forth, right? This week, Dalvin Cook's going to absolutely kill it, and this Cardinals Eagles game is going to end up being like 11-7 or something.
You don't say that.
You don't say that. I'm sorry. I won't say that.
Shut up.
Guys, that is our DFS core lineup. We're going to play some hypothetically now. JL, I think you got the prompts for us, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
I do. These ones come courtesy of our good friend and team member, Jay Felicio. Jay.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So here are your prompts. So if this is your first time hearing us play hypothetically, I am going to pose a hypothetical question, philosophical question, moral dilemma to these fellas, and they have to respond, answer the prompt, and the only rule is that they have to overthink it. All right.
Very serious game. We're going to take this very seriously.
Super serious. All right, guys, let's get to the first prompt.
Very serious game.
Get your coffee, get your serious face on, put on your serious underwear because we're getting into it. Would you rather only be able to eat food cooked by Russell Wilson, or the only music you can listen to be Cole Beasley's rap albums?
I got immediate questions, about 100 of them, JL. Okay. And it's all about Russell Wilson cooking for me. Every question's on that side right now because I feel like that's one where I got lots of questions. What's the situation here? Do I have to operate around his schedule? Like, is he like, do I have to go to Denver? Or is it like whenever I need food, I can like summon Russell Wilson in my kitchen and he cooks for me? Or is it like wherever Russell Wilson is, I need to go? Like, he's unavailable on Sundays. I just don't eat. Or
just for the sake of your health, it's not like that, because you have to be able to eat. You can't have to go to Denver every time you eat, or else you're probably gonna die. So it won't be like that.
Then the other
geographically local to Russell Wilson.
Okay, that was going to be the next question. Or is it a case where like maybe once a month I've got to fly to wherever he is, have him cook a ton of meals for me, freeze them all, put them in my freezer, and then I'm just living that meal prep life with Russell Wilson's cooking.
It's kind of convenient if that was the case.
Could be.
Yeah.
But it'd be
the food's really bad.
Now, Simon, you have to remember
it's the only
that
problem.
Russ Wilson, he likes to get a bit dangerous. So you're gonna have to be eating stuff that has banana peppers in it, because
I don't.
That's spicy food in his neck of the woods, dude. So
and he has absolutely no regard for your taste or opinion on what the food is. He cooks what he wants.
Now, on the other side, I will say that I've listened probably to more Cole Beasley than the average person. I can actually guarantee that.
Me too.
He does have one song, "I'm Gonna Miss," kind of dope. That song.
Immediately question Breaching Coop on this show.
I gotta say that song, 80 Stings by Cole Beasley. Check it out. Kind of fire.
Stings.
Kind of fire. I don't know, but
enjoy retirement.
I'm just saying, like, it's on Spotify. Might have found its way into a playlist. I
love his album cover. Keith, if you can, go grab Cole Beasley's album cover so that we can throw it up here.
Yeah. Is there now? The thing is,
the one of him looking in the mirror.
Is Cole Beasley the best football player rapper of all time?
Now, Chad Kelly, without a doubt.
Antonio Brown, Chad Kelly, Swag Kelly,
Kelly, number one QB, Under Armour. All-American. That's the kind of bars you get from Chad Kelly.
Oh, that was hot. I forgot about Swag
Do you
Kelly.
remember that song? And he's got that video,
Yes.
number one QB. And he's just like listing off his accolades. He was such an ass. God, just what an awful
Squirrel Bob
human.
asking, will Russ cook what I want, or does Russ cook what he wants? Russ cook what he wants.
Yeah.
What does Russ like to eat? Like, I'm just concerned. I'm not picky, but I got specific things I don't want. Like, I don't want ketchup. Russell Wilson seems like the kind of guy who puts a lot of ketchup on everything. Like, he's
pretty open,
dude.
He likes mixing things that don't really wouldn't conventionally think to mix.
I usually defend Kirk Cousins, but the most egregious football player cooking move of all time was that time that he was like, he posted this picture thinking he was doing something awesome, and he was like grilling up some steaks, and they were like wrapped in tinfoil. And everyone was like, dude, why are you boiling steaks right now, dude? Like, what are you, dude? Yes, wrapped in tinfoil on his grill, like on top of the grates, dude. I'm just like, what have you done? Like, what planet is this gentleman from? So
I see Trenton in the chat say Kadarius Toney best rapper too. Yeah.
The best football player song of all time is definitely Eli and Peyton Manning, "Football on Your Phone." Do you guys remember that commercial?
I don't know. Remember that one?
Football on your phone. It's football on your phone and football in your pants. Dude, you have to check that video out. It is legitimately hilarious. But yeah, so here's how I'm going. I've made up my decision, Simon. Do you have any more questions you need to ask you?
One thing that I just needed to say, if Russell Wilson's cooking for me, just like how he eats himself, I'm reading an article now that says Wilson, 32, eats 9 meals per day, amounting to over 4,800 calories. 4,800 calories. And he tries to avoid gluten and dairy. So those calories are coming from like protein. Like, he's eating like 4,800 calories of meat calories a day. That sounds awesome. I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get so fat if Russell Wilson is my cook.
That helps me make my decision. Here's where I'm at, dude. 80 Stings, obviously, Fuego. That song, dude. Kills, crushes. Everyone can enjoy it. Something for the whole family. But he raps about taking care of his family. Pretty cool. But the thing is, Cole Beasley also came out with a pretty blatant anti-vaccine song last year. which when you only have so many songs, dude, if like, that song comprises like 10%.
There it is.
There he is, dude.
There it is.
Mirror,
The best.
Staring down that COVID.
What's the name of the album again, Coop? I forget.
Is it Reflections or something like that? I forget what the name of the album is. Yikes.
So I'm gonna look at the autobiography, of course. Of course, it's the autobiography.
The autobiography, yeah. So based on that, dude, like that song would be coming up so often because you can only listen to so many songs, dude. That would be one of my favorite songs because it's the only music I can listen to. Right? So like that,
I have it on right now.
De facto would be one of my top like 20 songs because he only has like 20. So I will eat Russ's protein banana pepper or whatever he's cooking, boiled steaks. You know what I mean, like boiled chicken. I'll eat whatever he's cooking forever.
All right, you're taking the Russell Wilson.
I can't
side
take
of
the
this.
Beasley side.
Simon, what do you think? Are you taking the Russell side, or no? You said you take the Beasley side because of the calories.
I can't do it. I love music so much. I like music more than I like food. It makes me happy every single day. When I'm in a weird mood and I need to like get out of it, I just throw on like some Carly Rae Jepsen or something. Know what I mean?
You still have music.
It's Cole Beasley though. All that's gonna do is like ruin my day every time. Like if I'm in a good mood that I need to ruin, then I can turn on Cole Beasley. I gotta let Russ cook for me. Russ, I'm eating 5,000 calories a day with you from here on out. That's what's going on,
dude. I'm just saying.
All right,
80 stings, dude. I'm even though I'm picking Russ, dude. 80 stings. Say hello to Mr. Slept On.
Dude, I'm listening to it right now, and it is so poorly mixed. I could barely hear him over the beat.
Yeah, you don't even need that, dude. He's like half a mile deep.
That's true. I'd rather hear the beat. All right, guys, let's move on to our next prompt here. Let's move on to the next prompt. Would you rather have Morgan Freeman's voice, but only be able to speak in dad jokes, or look like The Rock, but you have to do cartwheels everywhere you go?
Ooh. Everywhere I go.
What are caterpillars afraid of? That was my best Morgan Freeman impression. How was that? Pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Dogger.
That wasn't too bad.
Now, what the thing that sucks about the cartwheel thing is that, like, first of all, The Rock, chiseled God, like you would definitely be slaying, but right, like no matter what, even with the cartwheels, like there's some chick out there that thinks that's dope, but like, like for sure, she's like,
you just got to find the cartwheel crowd. That's what you got to do.
I mean, I'm in a Grimace Discord with Craig and Jay.
Everybody's got their weird stuff.
Jay joined us as well. So I'm in a Grimace Discord and there's like 30 people in there. So you're gonna find a chick that likes a dude that does cartwheels all the time, especially if you look like The Rock. Like,
ain't no chicks in that Grimace Discord, I guarantee you.
I can guarantee you there are not. But the thing is, dude, it's like it really limits what you can do. Like so you do get one of those hot chicks, right? You got a hot chick, but then you want to go to the movies. But you're gonna put your hands in that like sticky popcorn floor, dude, when you're doing cartwheels to your seat. Oh, disgusting, bro.
The worst. I'm imagining being in line at Six Flags, right? Like you're in line at Six Flags and you have to like wait for the line to get far enough ahead of you so that you have room to do a cartwheel to catch
or
up.
What if you go to a game? What if you go to an NFL game? You got a freaking cartwheel through the crowd, up the steps.
Well, that's the thing.
Stairs are a problem.
That's the thing with being in line is that like if you don't have space, you're just doing a handstand and waiting for your chance to get down on your feet. Like you're probably spending a lot of time doing handstands. And the thing is, like, I don't know if studies have been done on this, but that can't be good for your brain, right? Kind of just like rattling your brain around all day long, just all day.
Studies have been done on this. What if you do cartwheels?
What if you do cartwheels all the time?
Like, what if cartwheels your only mode of transportation?
Your brain would be bouncing around.
How do you drive?
Well,
I guess I'm the one.
We're gonna ask you that. I think once you're in the car, I don't think you need to be doing cartwheels.
You do have to cartwheel into your car, though, right?
Yeah.
You probably have to do the cartwheel in there, stick the landing.
Yeah. Now just 100%. Imagine, dude, like you're on a plane and you have to get up to pee. It's just like being that guy, Yeah,
just freaking cartwheeling down the skinny aisle, just smashing into everybody.
Just
church.
On the other side, JL, is it truly I can only speak in dad jokes? Like I can't say any words that are not a dad joke.
Nope.
Like I feel like that limits my communication. It makes me very annoying. Like at a certain, like I love a good dad joke. Don't get me wrong. I love a good dad joke, but if like every single thing you asked me, I only responded with like, I'm just trying to think of like a classic dad joke.
Like if your aunt died and you have to call your sister and you call her on the phone and you're like, knock knock, who's there? You know, Auntie Jane's dead. Like that's that's your life, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
It's just like the form of a joke, but you just deliver like the punchline, just actual information.
And you say like Morgan Freeman, yeah, like
they call you and say your aunt's dead. Hi, Dad. I'm Dad. Just as like the response to that
one. So sad.
Dustin just wants to hear some more dad jokes. I got one for you guys. Why did the old man fall in that well?
Why?
He couldn't see that well.
Oh, that's actually an amazing joke.
Terrible.
You have to at least try to say it like Morgan Freeman.
You're right.
Hal said, my daughter actually does cartwheels all day, once for over 100 yards. How do you cartwheel over 100 yards? Is her wingspan like 50 yards?
Not one cartwheel, JL.
She just kind of like launch off the ground and land.
Hal throws her. Hal, like they get a rotation going and he just like chucks her down the field. Her hands hit at the 50-yard line.
Just spinning like one of those.
I got a dad joke for you guys. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Or actually, what's Mozart's favorite fruit?
What?
Banana.
That's terrible. That's an awful one. Kevin and you said at least you wouldn't have to go to jury duty. You'd be dismissed right away. That's not a dad joke. That's just a sentence.
Oh my god. That'd be pretty funny. It's like this guy
with his
only answering dad jokes in
as
Morgan
if you
Freeman's
wouldn't,
voice.
dude, as if you wouldn't be dismissed right away if you cartwheeled into the court and you were like, yeah, I'm here for the murder trial. Like they would be like,
they call it recess. They call it recess, and you cartwheel out of the box in the middle.
Just like honk. Just honk rolling in. What's that?
Imagine at your wedding day, you're going down the aisle, like you're walking down there at the end, and you just have to cartwheel out of the reception. Like everyone's lined up, your wife's expecting you to hold her hand. It's the greatest moment of your life. You're expressing your love. You're showing yourself as a couple for the first time, a married couple, and she's just walking next to this clown, this giant buff clown, cartwheeling down the aisle. Like just fully cartwheeling, stealing all the attention. No one's even looking at her in her beautiful dress now.
Kevin makes a good point. Imagine cartwheeling in Dockers. Yeah, you'd be ripping your trousers on the regular.
Ripping your trousers.
Yeah, who wears pants? Who wears pants anyways?
You'd be blasting trousers. All right, I think I'm ready to answer here. Blasting trousers.
How do you poop? You poop like like normally every day in your normal life.
You squeeze. It comes out.
You don't gotta. You don't got.
There's no extra poop. There's no extra poop process with this prompt.
Maybe this wasn't related.
You have to cartwheel onto the toilet.
Maybe he was just asking in general.
Tommy's got one in the chat. Why would you never rob a bank with a hog? Why is that, Tommy?
Because they always squeal. That's my guess.
Oh, that's it, dude. Oh,
we'll see. Tom, what's the answer, Tommy? Did I get it? Did I get that one? He said, "Bingo! Boom!
Yeah, that's a good.
Nailed it."
Right, I think
I'm going with
Simon. You go first.
Yeah, you know, cartwheels suck, but give me those pecs. I'm gonna stand in the mirror and flex my boobs for like 4 hours on day one when I have that body. I'm taking the Rock's body, and we're cartwheeling everywhere.
Yeah, the Rock is. Yeah,
I've always wanted to be able to do that, just like bounce my chest up and down.
What's his name? Terry.
The Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. Yeah, that is who I'm thinking of. Just thinking of longest yard.
Exactly.
Cheeseburger Eddie.
Here's the deciding factor for me is that, like, I mean, first of all, like I'm a dancer. I love dancing, dude. No, you would take that away from me if dude, I get a little.
You would just add one new dance move and take away all the other ones.
Aha. Yeah, my only dance move would be in the Will Smith voice. Bring it back. Aha. My only dance move would be a cartwheel now, which kind of sick. Not gonna lie, but like gets a little old. And
if your feet are planted, Coop, like as long as you're not moving any sort of spatial direction, I think you can still dance.
Yeah. Oh, you got to keep it real tight though.
Like if you want to
do a little two-step.
Who needs footwork for dancing anyways? They always say footwork's the least important part of dancing. If I know anything about dancing,
and just think about how much beer you would spill cartwheeling around everywhere, dude. Just like you could. I mean, you probably get pretty good at it, but just of it. And you can't carry anything ever. I don't know how we never got to that point, but the reality is probably about 30% of what I say is nonsense and stupid jokes anyway. So if you just ramp that up to 100% and give me a very buttery Morgan Freeman awesome voice, I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
All right. So one Morgan Freeman, one Rock here. Let's get on to our last prompt here. Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers as your roommate or Dan Snyder as your landlord? Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Commanders.
So, dude, have you ever heard what Dan Snyder did with the trees? That story?
Maybe.
Dan Snyder has this like mansion, and it's overlooking the some sort of water, and he wanted a better view, so there were all these trees, but it was on like protected land. And then he was basically pulled the old, I'm Dan Snyder, I can do whatever you want. But this one dude was like, no, you cannot cut these trees down. He's like, I'll plant new ones, and, because by the time they grow, he'll be out of there anyway. So he's like, I'll plant new ones. And this dude would not budge. And basically Dan Snyder went out of his way to have this guy busted all the way down from being like a high level dude to working in this park that's just one bench. He ruined this guy's life.
Dude, that's so petty.
He had people basically try and get him for whatever they possibly could. And at one point, he got in trouble for bringing this badge home. He was supposed to take his badge off when he left work and bring it home, and he got in trouble for that. And then he got a DUI because he had cops are following him around because Dan Snyder can do whatever he wants. He basically ruined this guy's life so he could cut some trees down, and he just cut the trees down without permission anyway. Dan.
So what you're telling me is if Dan Snyder was my landlord, he would not stop at anything to make sure the changes I needed to my property would get done.
I think he would either be, if you're on his team, things probably go pretty well. But if you're not on his team, things are probably pretty bad for you. Let's just put it that way.
I will say this room that you're sharing with Aaron Rodgers is equivalent to a college dorm room. And so it's one room. Both your beds are in it.
Oh, shoot. That was going to be my next question is do I get to just move into Aaron Rodgers' house? Because if so, count me in.
It is not.
It's like me and Tim in the shoe boxes at Clemson in a room smaller than
instead it's you and Aaron
a closet.
Do I have to move to Wisconsin?
In his drug rug.
Can we live in a neutral location, or do I have to move to where his job is? I imagine that if one of us has to quit their jobs, it would be me.
Probably.
I could probably do this from his location.
Probably. I'll allow a neutral location on this one. That doesn't matter as much because you're
no relocate the Packers is what they'll do. So we don't even have to worry about that.
Now let's talk about the accommodations for this other apartment. Is the apartment the same in each situation, except for in one situation, Rodgers is my roommate. The other situation, Dan Snyder's my landlord. So it's the same living quarters.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Rodgers would be annoying to live with, but a bad landlord is like hell, right? It's a constant source of anger. Every single day you're mad about your landlord. And it's the worst part is there's not even really anything you can do about it because there's a power dynamic as well where they are the powerful one, you are the renter, you're the peasant, and they're the lord running that kingdom, right? It's almost like a serfdom situation where you feel like Dan Snyder has this control over you. And I hate that man. I think he is an awful human. If I had to have that power dynamic with Dan Snyder, oh man, absolutely awful. So Aaron Rodgers, it'd be annoying, but I'd take it.
Dustin asked a good question though. How often does Rodgers have a witch come to spend the night? How often is he geeking out on ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca.
That was the other thing I was going to say is I think Rodgers, you got a plug in your room. He apparently can get whatever you need. So anything you need from Aaron Rodgers, you need that ayahuasca, you need those micro doses. Aaron Rodgers has got you.
He doesn't help you though. He doesn't actually hook you up in any of those situations.
Oh, he just says oh yeah, I got you, no problem. Let me
bro, I got you totally.
I love in this hypothetical, Dan Snyder has all this stuff going on, but he has enough time to come and bother me in my apartment.
He's landlording this very probably low rent college dorm.
So hard. Yeah.
I'm going Rodgers. I think I can't do Dan Snyder. That's my final choice.
I was going to say, Dan Snyder's just such a dick that I would pick Rodgers and just hope that, he's dating some pretty hot chicks. And the thing about hot chicks is they usually have hot friends. And, at the end of that At the end of that, what'd you say? I don't get any.
They
of
don't
that.
come over.
Come on,
No,
dude.
None of that.
It's in the dorm room. That's what
I feel like
you picking Rodgers?
I could still be like, yo, Aaron Rodgers is my roommate. So what's up, dude? Cartwheel in the room. Cartwheel into the room. Be like, hey, Aaron Rodgers is my roommate.
Flex your boobs.
How you doing?
Flex your pecs.
Yeah,
your Terry Crews pecs.
Yeah, I'd rather have that because like you don't get any. There's no clout to be like, yeah, Dan Snyder's my landlord. You guys trying to hook up or?
And then people are just like, oh, gross. Feel bad for you, guys.
Good job, guys.
Coming up shortly, we've got our friend Patrick Creighton joining us today. He's host of ESPN Late Hits and a Texans reporter over at Gallery Sports. So stick around here for the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
What about Zach Ertz, though, when Hopkins comes back, thinking about it long term? Do you think
you got to continue to play the guy. I mean, the tight end position is so bad. I mean, I think this week, I got to start ranking guys like Ertz ahead of Kyle Pitts. I mean,
wow.
What do you mean, wow? What has Kyle Pitts done to continue to rank him in the top 5?
No, you're right. It's interesting, man, that he just has not come through. And I'm wondering, I mean, he had the 1 week he did, but I'm wondering if they're going to get right at all. And I'm not saying you're wrong by any stretch. He hasn't been good.
I mean, Parker Heath, the tight end for Atlanta, played more snaps than him. Yeah. Pitts ran 12 routes. Heath ran 6. Pitts had 4 targets. They're not throwing the football enough either. That's the problem. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure people don't have Pitts and Ertz anyway. Like, it's to the point with Pitts right now where you do have to consider another tight end over it. I'm not saying Cole Kmet, but if you have Njoku and Pitts, is it really outlandish to play Njoku over Pitts right now?
No.
If you don't have Kyle Pitts or you don't follow this stuff, you don't realize how bad he's been. And I only have Kyle Pitts in a best ball, in an FFPC best ball. So it's not like whatever. And I just looked at that roster. I'm like, oh, my backup is Albert Elf. Looks like I'm in trouble. And look, it should get better for him. But the guy has 10 receptions for 150 yards. No touchdowns. Here are his game logs: 2 for 19, 2 for 19, 5 for 87, 1 for 25. I mean, this is just pathetic at this point. And people have spent the 3rd round pick on it. There's probably not much you can do. I think people are like, well, I drafted him, I got to use him. You don't have to, man. You really don't. Right. If you have David Njoku, I might play him over Pitts right now. I know it sounds crazy, but we've seen 4 weeks of this garbage.
Yeah, and even a decent matchup against Tampa for him, it's the quarterback. That's the problem. It's the quarterback. We talked about this.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Drake London yesterday. Drake London is a hell of a talent. Mm-hmm. They completed 7 passes, and they won, which is the worst part. Somehow this team is 2-2.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Welcome back in, everybody. Joining us right now, we have a special guest. We've got Patrick Creighton coming up here to talk some football with us. Patrick is the host of Late Hits on ESPN, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, and he's a Texans reporter and columnist over at Gallery Sports. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us today, my man.
No problem, fellas. What's going on, man?
Yeah, good morning, boss. How we doing?
Happy to have you in here.
Look at me. I'm smiling. It's morning. What dimension am I in?
It's Friday, baby. You're on Play to Friday. Let's go.
I think you're just jazzed up from that game last night.
It's almost like watching the Texans. I mean, it really wasn't a whole lot different. All right. How can we screw this up? Hey, is there a guy wide open? No problem. I'll throw a pick over here.
Throw it over there, dude. Yeah, you're right. Like everyone's complaining, and you're like, "This is just football, baby. Let's go." Dude.
Man, Amazon must be so happy with the game package that they got. Remember, we used to make fun of ESPN that the Monday Night Football package was just trash.
Yeah.
Amazon's getting that treatment this year.
The Booger Mobile.
You gotta watch out, dude. Bezos has enough money to just start moving players around. I feel just like making trades. I feel like that guy wants a player moved. He could probably get it done, right?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be fair about it, I mean, the Broncos are owned by Walmart. They got money.
Yeah, but you think those guys have money?
Make some changes here, people.
It's crazy. You look at that, like the Forbes list, and it's like there's like 5 different people on there named Walton, right? Like it's like just one family is like half the list.
And now they own the Broncos.
I was not born in that lucky child club.
No,
but you were born in the club that gets to talk about football on Friday morning, baby. Pretty cool club,
Let's
right?
go.
Here we are. Yeah,
it's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig for somebody to be my age and still be allowed to talk about sports on the radio, on television with you guys. That's pretty good. You know, most people my age have Alzheimer's. Instead, you know, here I am talking about football. So.
You're good, baby. Hey, you can only play football so long, but you can talk about it forever. That's
forever.
So,
yeah, they can never shut you up.
You're good, brother. Well, hey, so speaking of which, I wanted to get one serious one out of the way early. Wanted to see if, by any chance, you had any update on John Mechie. You know, how his treatment's going, and if he's doing all right, or if they're kind of just keeping that under wraps, kind of a personal thing. But just
so
wanted to check in.
Mechie is in recovery, and he actually had a really cool event last week where he brought all the nurses from the hospital who've been treating him and all the other patients who have been in the ward with him. He brought them all out to NRG and gave them a tour of the stadium and gave them gifts and made served dinner. Cool. It was a really cool event John Mechie did with all these people. And it was all part of, you know, it all wound up being a part of the Texans Pink game, which was Sunday. That was their NFL Crucial Catch game. Every team will do an NFL Crucial Catch game. That's the NFL's program to detect cancer early. So that was a really awesome event, and these people were really cool. I got a piece up on it on gallerysports.com, and the Texans actually put together this 6-minute, really well-produced video that shows everything that went on. It's worth a watch. It was really cool.
Awesome, man. That's so good to hear, dude. That's
really cool.
Not only that he's doing good, but doing good things too. What a dude.
The Texans can be a very incompetent team on the field. Off the field, they do things the right way. That's part of the legacy of Bob McNair. You know, when Bob McNair, was first awarded the Texans, it was important to him. Hey, we're going to have people on our team that you're going to be proud of, and it was a big deal. We used to call the Texans the Boy Scouts. If anybody ever had any kind of anything wrong in their past, they weren't allowed to be on the Texans. But the Texans do things off the field and in the community very much the right way.
I love some of my favorite pictures. If you type in Andre Johnson, Toys R Us, he's got these pictures, and he's a big dude. He's got all these pictures of him holding receipts at Toys R Us that go all the way down to the ground, right? Like the Andre Johnson toy drive is one of the coolest things, dude. That's a Texans game right there.
Andre Johnson did so much stuff in the community. I used to do turkey drives with him, where for Thanksgiving he would show up at a church in a not so affluent part of town with a semi of turkeys and food to give to people at Thanksgiving time. It was the amount of people, the amount of support. Andre Johnson was amazing when it came to doing things like that.
Legend, dude. And Cortland Finnegan was a demon, right? The fact that you get Andre Johnson,
Robin Ventura, those things kind of come to mind. Guys on the wrong end of a beatdown from somebody
from a good dude. If you can make Andre Johnson fist fight you, you are truly a jerk.
Patrick, I've got that article pulled up with the video in it from John Mechie, just looking at that, ready to watch after this. And man, you talked about have a smiling now. I wasn't ready to be crying on a Friday morning, but it looks like right after this, I'm going to spend some time shedding some tears watching that video. But that's absolutely awesome what Mechie did. Yeah, it's just allergies. It's that time of year over here.
Need some Benadryl.
Absolutely.
I'm not crying. Both my eyes are a little sweaty, but it's just hot in here.
Patrick, I did want to ask you about a player that towards the end of the season started shooting up draft boards. It looked like someone, maybe week one, people were disappointed. It was the Rex Burkhead show, but every single week since then, it feels like Dameon Pierce is just getting better and better and better. And it sounds like this Houston offense wants to get him more involved. What's going on with Dameon Pierce? Is he the real deal? Are we going to see him continue this streak of looking better each week?
Dameon Pierce is a beast, man. I mean, look, everybody knew coming out of Florida, this is a guy who he was a bowling ball, right? He could just run people over. Everybody's seen the video of him helmetless, still running people over, going to the end zone. You knew he was a power back. What people didn't realize was that he's also got the speed to bust off a big run. And because he didn't 40 time at the combine with a big time speed, he combined like 4.59. At the same time, and this is one of the things I always talk about, with with 40 speeds, right? Open up your phone, like on the stopwatch, and tap, to start it, just tap, and see how long that takes. That's the difference between like 4.4 and 4.6. Is tap. How many people are making up that speed over their 20, 30, 40 yards? So that he ran a 4.59 and not a 4.4. People, he's slow. They ain't catching him from behind. And you saw that speed. Also, nobody lines up in blocks and waits, for somebody to shoot out. Nobody gets a free release off the line. You're going to bust through guys. So the game speed is certainly translating for Dameon Pierce. And coaching staff, Pep Hamilton was talking the other day about they need to get him the ball more often. That guy's an explosive playmaker. They know they need to get him the ball more often. They also need to disguise what they're going to do because for the last few weeks, only Dameon Pierce has gotten a handoff. So every time Rex Burkhead comes in the game, nobody fears the run because, he hasn't had a handoff in 3 weeks. So, hey, it's going to be a pass. Then they have to block. That's a totally different story. But Dameon Pierce is absolutely legit. By the way, stole him in the 9th round, not one, two.
That's
hot.
Wait, that feels good,
that was,
dude.
Stolen.
Before he snuck up there into the 5th round where he was going towards the end of fantasy seasons. Those are some nice picks, but yeah, he looks like the truth. I wasn't drafting him when he got up there in the 5th round, but looking like he may be able to return value on at least that draft cost. He looks great.
It looks like producer Keith found that one of those Andre Johnson pictures. Can we get that up on the screen there so that people can see this guy? Yeah, look at that, dude. Those go all the way to the ground. And
Fun fact about this picture is that it's actually he just bought like 2 toys, but they were at CVS.
37 fees paid for all of these things. But Trey is a legend. Man. You will not find one single person in Houston that doesn't have the utmost respect for Andre Johnson.
Yeah, legend, dude. You type that in, Andre Johnson Toys R Us, and that's just one of many pictures. He does that every year. The guy's a G.
That's awesome. Reminds me of Scott Fish.
Scott Fish, dude.
Absolutely. I see Hal in here saying my mother-in-law was just diagnosed with lung and breast cancer. People doing good for those fighting cancer are amazing. Well, best wishes to your mother-in-law. I hope that she's able to fight through this, and absolutely agree. John Mechie doing great stuff. While he's going through something like this, still making sure to take care of the people that are out there trying to help others. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from John Mechie. I feel like going into this. Go ahead, Coop.
I got one for you.
I'll say
we can't just throw you softballs, my man. I'm coming in with one. I know, dude. I know. It was in your contract.
This wasn't in the contract.
Yeah, no, we tricked you. We tricked you.
It's an invisible ink at the bottom.
One difficult question here. And the answer might just be just straight no. But I'm a big tight end guy. I do a lot of tight end analysis, and looking over this team, Jordan Akins, Pharaoh Brown, Brevin Jordan, also Mason Trek, you name it, if you had to pick one guy, let's say you're in one of those crazy deep, like 32 team leagues and everybody's rostered. If you had to pick one of these dudes to be the best fantasy producer long-term, season long, which guy would you lean into?
Before the season, if we were talking about, from week 1 on, I would have picked OJ Howard. Pharaoh Brown, look, his history wasn't great, and he also just got released, so now he's in Cleveland. Brevin Jordan is hurt again. He's still hurt, and he didn't practice today either. So it's 3 weeks he hasn't practiced. He won't play Sunday. So the tight ends are going to be O.J. Howard, Jordan Akins, and Mason Trek. Mason Trek got his first career catch last week, so it's certainly not going to be him. Although I will say Jordan Akins' play is part of the reason why they felt comfortable moving on from Pharaoh Brown. So Jordan Akins is a guy who spent 4 years in Houston. He pretty much knows everybody here, and there's a level of trust with him. So Jordan Akins and O.J. Howard, I think, will probably be about even. But I would go with O.J. Howard. I think O.J. Howard's a more athletic receiver. He's certainly a more proven receiver. We've seen him be able to go up and pull balls out of the air, and that's important when you have a quarterback that's always overthrowing guys. So I would go with O.J. Howard as my slight favorite for tight end. If you're going with a Texans tight end, I'm going to go with O.J. Howard.
Yeah, I like that. It seems like they're doing and which is what you should do when you have a team in this position, but it seems like they're doing a bit of like live tryouts, right? Like we saw the Dolphins do that a couple years ago where they would play a guy for the entire game, and then the very next game they would release him. They'd be like, all right, we gave you a run. You know, it seems they tried Pharaoh Brown playing a full snap share, and they said, okay, he's not the guy. Now this week, OJ Howard plays a full snap share. So, you know, it's a smart way to play it if you're a team that's rebuilding. You got to figure, you're not playing to win this year. You're figuring out who's going to be part of the team. So I kind of like the way that they're going after it here, just giving guys different runs.
Speaking of a rebuild,
when they brought in OJ Howard, he was already the most talented tight end on the team when they brought him in. And I'm not trying to knock Pharaoh Brown or Brevin Jordan, but look, stats are stats and facts are facts, and we're not trying to beat on people, but it is what it is. OJ Howard was the best tight end they had. And I know OJ Howard never lived up to, you know, the super crazy hype that he had coming out of college, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means he never became Travis Kelce. So he's still a pretty good player, and he still is able to make, you know, acrobatic catches. He's a big guy. He's a tough matchup for a linebacker or a safety. So, yeah, I would go with OJ Howard, although Jordan Akins, like I said, Jordan Akins played pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Coop mentioned this team's rebuilding. And so what I was curious about is, what are the Texans thinking about Davis Mills right now? Like this seems like maybe it was an experiment this year, like seeing, can Davis Mills be the guy? Is he the person that we build around? Maybe a long shot, but what's the vibe around Davis Mills in Texas? Are they thinking about moving on next year?
Somebody in a box at NRG Stadium is sitting there with a microphone going, "Will the real Davis Mills please stand up? Will the real Davis Mills please stand up? We're going to have a problem here." Because the guy from last year is not the guy from this year. Last year, especially the last 5 games of the season, Davis Mills played like the best quarterback in last year's rookie class. Yeah. He outplayed Mac Jones. He outplayed Trevor Lawrence. The other guys don't even deserve consideration because they weren't even in the same league. Davis Mills showed awareness in the pocket. He showed the ability to be functional mobility in the pocket. Davis Mills isn't winning any track meets, but he was smart enough and slick enough to be able to slide a few steps over, buy that extra second or two, make plays down the field. In fact, last year, Davis Mills, second highest rated quarterback, throws 20-plus yards down the field. This year, first of all, we can't even throw the ball 20 yards down the field because we're throwing it 40 yards down the field and it's getting picked off by somebody else. His throws have been consistently high. He's also done the Donovan McNabb ground ball thing more than once. But the other part of this is the offense and Davis Mills. This is what's puzzling to everybody. The guy who was really good throwing the ball down the field, and he's got a strong arm. He can make every throw. He can throw a 20-yard out to the side, no problem. He can do it. But they're throwing the ball like within 5 yards. Last week, he had 26 completions. 13 of them were for 5 yards or less. Of those 13, 1 was actually for the whole 5 yards. He had 3 completions for negative yardage. One of them was a 5-yard loss to the tight end. Now, guys, I don't know what teams you follow, but I am 150% sure that no team in the league has in their playbook, let's throw a pass to the tight end 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. All the analytics guys are going to love the EPA on this play. This is going to be a doozy. In fact, this is going to be so great. Next week, we're going to roll out a bootleg double reverse flea flicker, and that'll make their heads explode.
I think the Bears, that's their whole playbook.
And these are the reasons. What are you doing? Why would you even throw that pass 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage to a 260-pound guy who's triple covered? These are the issues that the Texans are having. It's bad decision making. And Lovie Smith has talked about this for the last couple of weeks. They're in their RPOs. They're making the wrong decisions. Maybe don't run so many. I don't. When you're running RPOs and it's Dameon Pierce and he's right there at the line, well, we know it's a run. If you're running an RPO and there's Rex Burkhead, well, we know it's a pass because they don't mix up the play calling enough. So there are things schematically that are wrong with the Texans, but Davis Mills, his decision-making as a result of that has also suffered. They're not getting the ball down the field. Defenses are packing up to the line, and it's on Dameon Pierce to knock 3 guys off of him every time he touches the ball. Which, by the way,
sometimes he can do. Yeah, he can do that. So that's pretty handy that they got a guy who can do that. But that's interesting. It sounds like Davis Mills, while not playing as well as we did see last year, making poor decisions, there's also an element of this that you believe is on the play calling, on the coaching staff, not setting him up to succeed?
There's definitely a lack of trust, not just between the coaching staff and the players, and then amongst the players themselves, right? Like we keep seeing, like the first 3 weeks, we saw the Texans offensive line have absolute breakdowns in the fourth quarter, 3 weeks in a row. It's the same 5 guys playing every snap. How do they suddenly forget what the hell they're supposed to do because it went to the fourth quarter? Like, this is what I mean by this. There's trust issues. It's not like they haven't, like, how do you, all right, guys, it's the fourth quarter. Let's all pretend we have no idea what the hell we're doing. And then last week, in the first half, guys, what's a football? And then the second half, oh, crud, we better score some points. And then they got on it. So, like, this team is so Jekyll and Hyde that they've got to find a consistency. And part of that consistency is they've got to find the consistency in the play calling. Like I said, it can't be Rex Burkhead is in the game. We know it's a pass. And that's what it's been for 3 weeks. And, you know, they've admitted that, hey, you know what, we've kind of realized we've gotten predictable. We're going to have to change things up.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots used to do that where they would have one guy that would only run and one guy that would only play pass downs. But what they would do is they would kill you with play action on the times that they did mix it up, or they would kill you with the James White draw play. Like, if you're going to go that route, you can't have Rex Burkhead get no carries, right? You got to give him, at least if you're going to set it up that way, you got to do the final like rug pull on him and do a couple draws with Rex Burkhead, right? Like, if you just throw it every single time, you're not even using the illusion.
Now, the 3rd and 10 draw, right? That is the standard give up play. Like every team runs a 3rd and 10 draw. Texans have not run a draw play. 4 games, no draw plays. And that's Rex Burkhead. That's a specialty, right? All right, 3rd and 10. We know we're going to draw play. They don't run any. And look, there are teams who use the short pass to the running back like a run. If you remember, Gruden's Raiders, with Rich Gannon and Charlie Garner, they used to run those little 2-yard, 3-yard dump offs and treat it like a run. You know, the Patriots used to do the same thing with Burkhead, Rex White, with Kevin Falk. You just name it. They always had a guy like that. They also had Tom Brady, which didn't hurt. But the teams use that. But with the Texans, because they want to be a power running team, but Dameon Pierce is only getting 14 carries. If you want to be a power running team, he's got to get the ball 22 times. And at the same time, you got to give Burkhead or Dario Gumbawale, you got to give somebody a couple of carries, even if it's 3-4 carries, just to make the defense stay honest that, you know what, we have to at least respect the fact there could be a run here. It's not a guaranteed pass. They've got to work that part out. That's on the coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Laramie Tunsil's been pretty good. Like, just run behind that. See if you get something going behind that guy, right?
So Laramie Tunsil is one of the highest graded pass blocking, but he doesn't really like to run block. I mean, if we're just going to be honest, the guy who likes to run block is Kenyon Green, the guy next to him. That guy's a road paver. He wants to punch people in the mouth. He's running 10 yards down the field, bulldozing linebackers. Totally different type. Laramie Tunsil is the dancing bear at left tackle. You know, he's going to pass pro like a champ, except that one time against DJ Speed. But he's going to pass pro like a champ. He just not a terrific run blocker. AJ Cann at right guard, very good run blocker. Pass blocking, but really good run blocker. So their strength right now, believe it or not, is to run in between the tackles, because their 2 best run blockers are at the guard position. When you saw Dameon Pierce take that toss, he cuts that back right inside the tackle and he breaks out for 75 yards. That's where the strength of their run game is going to be, in between the tackles, because that's, with Green and with Cam. Those are their best run blockers.
Absolutely. Patrick, hearing you tell us what's wrong with this Houston coaching staff, you got the same passion. You were giving me flashbacks to Richard Sherman telling them to run the damn ball at the end of the game last night. I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I just want a show where for like half an hour, Patrick and Richard Sherman go back and forth telling me passionately what the coaching staffs are doing wrong, what decisions they're making wrong, what they need to fix. Run the damn ball. I want you to just scream about Rex Burkhead with Richard Sherman right there. That would be beautiful.
How awesome is that, watching Richard Sherman? And first of all, number one, credit to Richard Sherman, because he's got all the juice. Number 2, credit to Richard Sherman. He did not drop a GD on TV. He came real close.
I know. I thought he did.
To edit himself to a dang it and a dang. So credit to Richard Sherman, controlling the moment, because that looked like a GD was about to get dropped, and he pulled it back. He raised it in, and he pounded the thing. Get me Marshawn right here. Yeah. And you know, because like obviously that play in the Super Bowl was a huge point of contention among the defense versus Russell Wilson, and we know about the history of Richard Sherman basically trolling Russell Wilson every practice, picking him off, talking trash. You know he doesn't like him, and last night almost was like vindication of, see, that's why I don't have 2 rings. That bleepity blanker right there. And
gosh darn it, man, out there on the field.
I didn't mind that. If you can see behind me, I didn't mind that play. I actually really liked that play. You know, got my boy Tom Brady right there, dude. Got the Celtic stuff. So yeah, I was fine with that play call. Throw it to Malcolm Butler on that play.
Throw it to Malcolm Butler. And you know what? You can make an argument. Malcolm Butler was early, or there was DPI on that play, but it's on the goal line. It's the last play. You cannot ask the referees to bail you out. You've got Marshawn Lynch. Why are you not running the ball? Why did Pete Carroll not look at Darrell Bevel and say, no. You're not screwing this up on me. And just override it and say, give the ball to 24. That's all you had to do. Give it to 24.
Patrick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and hang out with us today, my man. An absolute pleasure talking with you and getting some Houston Texans insight, my man.
No, my pleasure, guys. Anytime.
You're the man, Pat, dude.
Guys, go and follow our friend Patrick on Twitter at pcreighton1. That is pcreighton1. Go over there and give him a follow. Get that Houston Texans inside information and check out his work over on Gallery Sports as well. Patrick, enjoy your weekend of football, and thanks again, my man.
Thanks, fellas. You too.
Have a good one.
He's in the rotation, dude, for sure. We got to get him back. We got to get him. See if he'll come on at like 8 a.m. Get everyone fired up, dude. Because he had me all fired up there.
Start the day off with it.
Yeah. We gotta get him. He's like a cup of coffee, man. Awesome.
We were talking about Dameon Pierce, and we had a question in the chat come in a little bit earlier about Dameon Pierce. Highlights Talk wanted to know, should I pick up J.K. Dobbins or Dameon Pierce for a running back off the waivers? And that's a good question. Which one should they pick up? JL, where are you going?
Oh, man, I don't know. Both?
Yeah, both. Yeah. See if you can find somebody to drop. I like Dobbins best out of 2 if you can only add 1. He looked so good this week.
He looked fantastic, and they were feeding him. I think he'll have weeks. He'll definitely be. He won't be consistent. We won't consistently get to what we got last week going forward. But we're gonna have days like that, and he looked good. So I'm with you. He's back.
We had a question from Nick in here. He said, "My buddy wants Corey Davis for Elijah Mitchell. Should I do this?" I'll send Corey Davis away for Elijah Mitchell. I know Elijah Mitchell's injured, but that's not a player I'm worried about sending away.
Because you're not – Corey Davis probably not going to crack your lineup. Elijah Mitchell has a real chance of doing that when he gets back.
Joe, you're in agreement on that one?
Yep.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions coming here at the last minute? I think we can hit one more super fast. Eric said PPR pick 2, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Khalil Herbert, Terry McLaurin. Which 2 are you going with? It's definitely Jacobs and Robinson for me. Robinson's a must start. Jacobs as well. Joe, you agree?
Jacobs played 90% of snaps. You have to start Jacobs.
I go Herbert and Jacobs.
Herbert and Jacobs. That's fair. Guys, that is going to be it for us today, this morning, here on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. Stick around, though, because right after this, you've got Moose and Keith coming up telling you about Week 5. Then Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru right after that. And then if you want to hang out with us this Sunday, Coop is live with Fantasy Alarm from 9 to 11 a.m. And then we're live from 11 to 1 on Sunday. Until then, adios, everyone.